Now they're looking good. It's too late. Maybe when we're done. No, I don't want to leave on that.
Might need a midway.
For 9, right?
Alright, you guys ready? Slightly right there on your side.
Hello, everybody. Hello. All right, now this is the point in the meeting where we be quiet. All right, hello, everybody. Hello. I know I see some hands waving in the back. I just want to make sure everyone's aware. We are going to call the City Council meeting, our regular meeting of April 10th, 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Perkins,
Here.
McAdams,
Here.
Verbic,
Here.
Faber,
Here.
Mayor Barnes,
Here.
8 present.
Awesome, we are in order. And then I will ask Captain Vac, the new title, up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you, Mr. Shadow Gentry. All right, now I'll move on to agenda item C, approval of the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a change to the agenda.
Okay.
I'd like to move item L1 to J1.
Awesome. I have a motion to move item L1 to J1. That's an ordinance we're just moving up on the agenda to facilitate some timing. I have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, awesome. I have a motion by Alderwoman Larson and a second by Alderman Verbic. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the modified agenda has been approved. Moving on to agenda item D, presentations. We have the National Public Safety Telecommuters Week, April 9th through April 15th, 2023. City Manager, do you want to kick us off? Or?
No, just to say to all who are present and all who are listening that we're very proud of the work our telecommunicators do, and this is a week out of the year. Every week of the year is a good time to think of them and the stressful work that they do.
Yeah.
And we're very pleased with that.
And for all those who are present, telecommunicators are dispatchers.
Yes.
When you dial 911, they are the first person that answers the phone. If you can only imagine the job they have, a lot of times, it's a, yes, ma'am.
There's a proclamation at your
Oh.
desk, Mayor.
Oh, there is? Well, thank you very much. That is awesome. I will continue with what I'm saying, but I will then finish with the proclamation. But ultimately, they're the ones that, when you need them the most, they're that calm voice on the other side of the phone, trying to get as much information as possible to be able to get the right resource to you when you need it. So that team that we have are a phenomenal group of people, and I can't say enough about how much we at council appreciate them, and I know our PD and our fire department appreciate them immensely. So I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. This is a proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, April 9th through 15th, 2023. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt dispatch of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life, preservation of property, and public safety. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained by the public safety telecommunicators of the City of DeKalb Emergency Communications Center. And whereas telecommunicators are the single vital communication link among our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas telecommunicators of the City of DeKalb have contributed substantially to effective public safety response, the apprehension of criminals, the suppression of fires, and the treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their duties, absolutely. And whereas the week of April 9 through 15, 2023 has been designated as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week by the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials, APCO, and recognized nationally by the proclamation of the United States Congress. Now therefore, I, Cohen Barnes, Mayor of the City of DeKalb, along with the City of DeKalb City Council, do hereby declare local recognition and celebration of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week from April 9th through 15th, 2023, in honor of the telecommunicators whose diligence and professionalism help keep the City of DeKalb and its first responders informed of emergencies and safe from harm. Let's give a round of applause for our first responders. All right, moving on to presentations number 2. We have the DeKalb Police Department 2022 Annual Report. Chief, come on up and let us know how things are going. Yeah, Mr. Roby, let him get up to the top here. Yeah.
Good evening, City Council, and good evening, everyone. This is a great time for me to come up here and talk about public safety, actually. So, before I start, I do want to piggyback what you just said, Mayor, about the telecommunicators. They are a lifeline for the rank and file. We could not do our job without our telecommunicators. They handle an abundance of calls, a lot of emergency calls, like I said, in a very strange position where, you know, they don't always are not able to actually physically help, and that's a struggle for them. And we're in a position where we can, but I've talked to them on numerous occasions. I think that's the one part of their job they struggle with, is not being able to physically do anything about the situation that they're listening to. So, but kudos to them. Like I said, this is their week. We've done a lot of great things for them. They'll eat a lot, I can tell you that. We bring a lot of food to the communications room. They got flowers today. They got an edible arrangement, so it'll be going on like this every day. So, but thank you for that proclamation. So, as we get into the annual report, let me first say that I'm extremely happy about the product that was presented to you. When you get opportunity, I'm sure you'll read it thoroughly. Melissa Neblock was my administrative assistant, along with, of course, a lot of help from the commanders from each division, helped put this together, and she did an amazing job. So I just want to make sure I give her credit where credit is due. So, last annual report, my watchword was that it was excitement, because I was new to the DeKalb Police Department, very excited about the work that I know that we could do as a law enforcement agency providing public safety. This year, my watchword was confident, and the reason why I'm so confident is that the steps that we have made to make the city of DeKalb a safer place. I believe that high visibility will reduce crime, and we're working our way to add more police officers. Thank you, City Council, for supporting us to do that. Right now, like I said, we're growing as a police department. We're approximately at 61 officers now. We're on our road to 70, like I said, and I thank you over and over again for the ability to do that with your support. One of the biggest things that we've done, and it's taken us a little while to get to that 70 mark, is I want everyone to understand that the quality of police officer we're looking for at the city of DeKalb. And it's been very important that we look for someone who is with integrity that is expected. So we expect integrity, and those are the type of individuals we're looking for to be police officers in the city of DeKalb. And we're also looking for officers who have their moral compass pointed in the right direction. So we've vetted a lot of personnel who have actually put in applications to be police officers, and unfortunately they have not shown to be worthy, and we have not taken them on their application. So we're going to keep fighting the fight. We're going to keep moving until they meet that standard of the DeKalb Police Department. So just bear with us. We'll get there, but there's a method to the madness. So I just want everyone to know that. The visibility concept is strong, but actually in partnership with technology, the license plate readers have been extremely effective. I want everyone, especially here in the room today, you can share with your neighbors. It's done its job. The license plate readers are used to prevent violent offenders from coming into the city of DeKalb. And it has definitely been effective. Our officers have been able to respond when they know that there are stolen vehicles that have crossed into the city limits of DeKalb, when there are felonious vehicles, meaning that there are vehicles that were used in a felony, have crossed into the city limits. Our officers have been able to respond and coordinate traffic stop and take those offenders into custody. So please continue to understand that the license plate readers are the future, and we're ahead of the game because we're doing it here at the city of DeKalb. The K-9 program is growing. It's been very effective as well. We just added K-9 Chase, who is a gun detection dog. He's been extremely effective for us as well, because there are a lot of illegal firearms in the state of Illinois. It's not just a DeKalb problem. This is a state of Illinois problem, and the only way we can combat that is to have this type of tool in our toolbox. And Chase has been fantastic, and his K-9 handler, Officer Ball Smitty, has been doing an amazing job, along with our other two K-9s that we have, is Drax and Riggs, and Officer Parsons and Officer Duzek have been doing an amazing job with them as well. So very pleased to see that our K-9 program is doing so well. Continuing, as you'll get into the report, you'll see a lot about citizens and helping the police department and the partnership that we have with you. So I speak to you as a community, and I will tell you that we continue to need your assistance. You are as big as a part of public safety as the police department is. We need you to continue to see something that you don't feel is right. You call the police, let us vet it, let us handle it, but we need your eyes, because we can't always be there at every block, every corner, every situation. So please, citizens of DeKalb, and there's a lot of you in here today, continue to do that. We need you. We need your partnership. And this summer, we will be giving out more awards to citizens who have assisted us make some significant arrests last year in 2022. So please continue to do that. I want to praise every division in the DeKalb Police Department. I already talked about communications. Our detective division is amazing. Their swift action when we have violent offenders and violent acts in our town have been extremely important, because I believe in my heart it's a deterrent to criminal activity. Our patrol division, like I said, I spoke a lot about them with the LPRs, but they are young officers who are really doing an amazing job here for the city of DeKalb, and they move extremely fast when there's a crime being committed. But not just that. I mean, we still do get you in your cars when you lock your key in your car. We still, hey, the cat in the tree call is still being handled by the DeKalb Police Department. So we're multifaceted, and we're going to continue to do that. I also need to talk about our records division. They don't get as much, in my opinion, they don't get the fanfare, but they do a lot of work, and these are all civilian employees for the most part, and I wanted to also thank them for the job that they're doing as well. So, and then I would be remiss, of course, to now talk about the leadership at the DeKalb Police Department. Not talking about myself, but we have couple of commanders in the back who are doing an amazing job. Well, Deputy Chief and one of our commanders, and the sergeant. The supervisory piece is extremely important in law enforcement. I've seen a lot of law enforcement agencies fall because they don't have proper supervision, and we do that at DeKalb. We have solid supervision, and they're doing an amazing job. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned them. And lastly, well, almost lastly, the future is bright. That's one of the technology is going to grow here in DeKalb, so that means more LPRs. You will see the purchase of drones in the near future. Technology is a very important part of public safety, so you will continue to see that. And I also just lastly want to speak about community engagement. The DeKalb Police Department has engaged the community in so many ways, but if you look back over the Christmas holidays, we gave away thousands of dollars to a lot of people who were in need during the Christmas holidays. So when it comes to community engagement, the DeKalb Police Department is living their creed, and they're doing that every year. So we're giving back, and we paid it forward big time. So we will continue to do that. And like I said, the report itself, I'll stand by it as it is written. If you have any questions or any issues with the report, please, if you want to answer them today. I know it's a big crowd here today, but if you need to meet with me one-on-one, I will be, of course, willing to do that as well. So, and that's just a quick snapshot of the annual report.
I think of the first question that I assume a lot of council members would have, and I'm curious from your perspective, Chief. We have a lot of stats and a lot of data,
Sure.
and I know data changes year over year, the way we report it, this, that, the other. What I'm really curious about is from your perspective, year over year, are we making progress? Is through the stats and the time the officers are spending and the amount of arrests that we're having? Are we getting safer, or are we just maintaining? That would be my question to you.
So I would say that we are definitely getting safer. And I will tell you this and I can look at these numbers and give you numbers, but also my perception is really one of the most important parts of this. So if you perceive yourself to be safe, then in all actuality, you feel safe and you feel like you are. I've talked to several just residents of the city of DeKalb, and they say, hey, Chief, things seem safer. So that goes to my perception. They feel like it's safer. And I think that's probably one of the most important parts of it. And as far as the numbers are concerned, yes, we are now able to make more proactive traffic stops. We weren't able to do that last year because we were handling so many calls of service. So officers weren't able to be proactive. We know we get a lot of complaints about speeding and other traffic offenses. So right now, since January, our officers have been very proactive. And unfortunately, I hope none of you get stopped for speeding. But
if you're speeding,
if you have, I understand why you might not want to hear this part. But that's a real strong indicator of lesser crime, because if it wasn't true, then we would have to be handling more calls of service and wouldn't have time to be as proactive as the officers are doing now. So, and unfortunately, you might not have, well, I know the mayor gets the opportunity, but a lot of times you don't see the summaries, of course, that come in to me as the chief of police, and the summaries also dictate a lot for me to show that there's a lot of proactive activity. And when I first started seeing the trend change, my first thought was, we're definitely going in the right direction. And then what sealed it for me was just those couple of conversations with citizens who said, Chief, things feel better and they feel safer. So I think at the end of the day, perception is what really drives me in my decision making when I hear about crime. They feel safer, and that's probably the most important part.
And before I ask for other comments or questions, that I was setting the chief up for that, where I already knew the answer to it, and I had asked the chief specifically. I'm seeing more officers out, checking for speeders, pulling people over. And I asked if that was a specific strategic initiative that they're doing because of a lot of the pressure we've had from council, and I think every one of us have had residents talk about speeding in my neighborhood. Number one issue, we hear you, and we communicate it to the chief all the time. But ultimately what it came down to is they have the time to do that. And when you we can look at all the statistics we want, but when officers actually have the time to spend time looking for people that have moving violations, that's a real indicator of overall how we're doing. So I have to definitely commend the DeKalb Police Department for being a component of that, but we are also up here a component of that. The incentives that we've done for that neighborhood, especially where we've had high crime, and we've really gone after trying to make sure everyone that lives in the city of DeKalb can live in a safe environment, which I think I can speak for all council members is an absolute priority of ours. So a lot of the activity that we've done, the economic development, the DeKalb Police Department, everyone working together, the Greek community, which I see represented here, all the citizens that are here. It takes a village to accomplish something like that. And we're seeing it firsthand that all of us working collectively and collaboratively is leading to a safer environment for everyone that lives in the city of DeKalb. So I'm really happy and ecstatic to hear that. City manager, or
Well, yeah, you
Okay.
need a city manager to hit the technical stuff and the data.
Sure.
But this is important, and it fits in with what you've been saying and what the chief said. So in certain key categories of the Group A offenses, the most heinous offenses, such as weapons-related offenses and various kinds of assault, where people are preying on others, sometimes with weapons, sometimes not, with other kinds of intimidation. Those key categories are down, not just slightly, but significantly. Now, 1 year does not a trend make, but it's the beginning of the trend that we want to see, and this is also why, more particularly, we're able to free up some officers to deal with traffic offenses and the things that disturb public peace and make people uneasy as they're moving around our community. And one other thing that we do, and the chief knows this very well, we've embedded social workers in our shifts, and sometimes the beginning of a pattern can be interrupted, particularly if it's a matter of preying on others, by having that time to cool off and then to visit with people who are willing to talk about some underlying causes and conditions. So we're very pleased with that. We're proud of that. Right now we're in transition because the experience was so good here. Some people sometimes move on to other jobs. So, but this is an important part. We're not going to let go of this. We'd like to expand next year.
council, questions or comments? For me, Chief, I've been on, as you know, multiple ride-alongs. All of us think we have stressful jobs. You know, what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I've been on 4 ride-alongs now that all were 7, 8, 9 hours in length, all hours of the night. And I've seen just about everything you could imagine. And when you watch our officers, if you can imagine all day, every day, to have composure and conduct yourself with the utmost professionalism, and the core component being, how can I help the individual that called? Our officers are phenomenal at that. And the chief mentioned about the high standard we have during the screening process. We don't have a lack of candidates with the DeKalb Police Department. What we have is a high standard, so we only accept the best. And I think that's how we can deliver such a high quality service to so many residents consistently. So Chief, I got to say, just personally, on everything I've seen, our officers in just about every situation possible, I've always been incredibly impressed by them. So make sure you pass down to the rank and file about how appreciative we are at the council level. And obviously, any support you continue to need, please come before us, because we know the support we give you is going to turn around to make all of our citizens just safer in their day-to-day lives. And that's our goal. Everyone can just live in the city of DeKalb, go to work, raise your family, and not worry at least about public safety. And that's what we're driving towards. So thanks, Chief.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to, thank you, ma'am. Number 3, the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, DCDC 2022 Annual Report. Mr. Paul Borick, who is the Executive Director of DCDC. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. On behalf of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, I was most pleased to provide our 2022 annual report to you, Mayor Barnes, and members of City Council. DCEDC has been truly honored to work closely with City Manager Bill Nicholas and the city's team to facilitate the development of $2 billion worth of development in the past 3 years alone. This amount equals the cumulative county investment in the prior 30 years of DCEDC's operation. Truly significant over the last few years. And it's really taken a team. This development is not only transforming the city of DeKalb, as you know, but positively impacting the entire county, and we've become a shining example for the state of Illinois. With the city's leadership, A prospective pipeline amounting to another $1.7 billion is pending for 2023 and 2024 going forward. Also, with the city's leadership, together with county government, we've created one of the most successful enterprise zones in the state, which has not only leveraged expansive new development like Meta and Ferrara. 2/3 of DeKalb County Enterprise Zone projects supported local business expansions. And DCEDC is pleased to report that the Opportunity Unbound branding initiative is well underway, promoting quality of life community opportunities. The purpose is to attract and retain talented professionals, students, and families to fill DeKalb's numerous job openings and lead our communities. We need to match generous private support with public support to continue the Opportunity Unbound initiative, and we look forward to presenting a detailed briefing to the City Council in the coming weeks. We do look forward to partnering with the City of DeKalb on the Opportunity Unbound branding initiative. On behalf of the DCEDC Board of Directors, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation for the city leadership and financial support, and I'm pleased to answer any questions you have in respect for your agenda tonight.
I love your brevity, Paul. City Manager, I don't know if you have something to chime in on, and I'm happy to as well.
No, we appreciate our partnership, and the corporation represents agencies and people from all around the county, and I'm also very pleased that we're helping to lead that.
Yeah. As some of you know, I was president of the DCEDC before I became mayor, so I worked hand-in-hand with Paul, and City Manager Nicholas was the vice president at the time. And it's been phenomenal to see the collaboration with DCEDC and the City of DeKalb. And all of you, I mean, when you think about Amazon, you think about Ferrari, you think about Meta and all the development that's been going on, that guy and this council have to get a lot of credit, and that goes before even I became mayor. The foundation was laid, and we're really seeing the benefits of all that hard work. And I expect, Paul, there's a saying in my world, coffee is for closers. I expect a few more deals. Hopefully, we're going to be announcing throughout 2023. And I know we'll be announcing those because of the hard work DCEDC and their staff has done, and their board of directors, as well as city staff and city council. So appreciate it, Paul. Any questions or comments for Paul Borick? All right. I can't believe the whole meeting's going to go on like this, so I'll take it. Paul, thanks very much.
Thank you very much for your support.
You bet. All right, we're moving on to public participation. We're going to have that, and then there's also an agenda item which I know most of you are here for. I'm going to call it out now, and I'm going to call it out then. We actually have to close the library at 9, so we do have a timeline, as well as we would really appreciate it. We're here to conduct city business, and we do so in the public, which is awesome. If someone comes up and speaks directly to what you were going to say, if I call your name, feel free to say, "I'm good, Mayor," because your comments were already covered. I would really appreciate it, because if you looked at our entire agenda, we got a full agenda tonight. I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to discourage anybody's voice. I just want to be as efficient as possible with our time and everyone's time that's in the audience tonight. All right, with that, I have for public participation, I have to call out for E1, our former mayor, Jerry Smith. You want to come up, Mr. Smith? Mayor Smith? I don't even know if that's the problem. Every time I see Jerry, all I do is call him Mayor Smith. I assume that's a title you have for the rest of your life, so I'll continue calling you that, Mayor
Well,
Smith.
it should be the title you have for the rest of your life. So,
Oh, okay, all right.
before you put the stopwatch on me, I just want to publicly.
Well, I'm sorry, Mayor.
I want to publicly thank our 7th Ward Alderman, Tony Favor, who, during my tenure as mayor for 4 years, was very, very supportive. I know he's been extremely supportive
Absolutely.
to you, Mayor Barnes. Thank you, Tony, for your service. John Walker, who's going to be succeeding him as 7th Ward Alderman, is here in the back. John, you're going to find this was a great team to work with up here. Thank you, Tony Favor. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, start that watch. It was in 2017, during the first few months of my term as your mayor that the Annie Glidden North Revitalization Task Force was begun. After choosing a good cross-section of our residents, 30 in all, we set out to formalize a plan. During the next 2 years, our council liaisons, Bill Finucane and David Jacobson, worked alongside these task members to identify specific challenges in the Annie Glidden neighborhood. Among them was food insecurity and providing access to fresh food and transportation issues surrounding such areas. Working alongside Task Force member Dan Kenny, we embarked on an aggressive vision incorporating a host of collaborative partners, including NIU, including the Northern Illinois Food Bank, among others. Now, as mayor, I knew that we had reached the point where we needed to engage our federal legislators to let them know of how DeKalb was forging the idea of a food hub in this area of our community. During a 2019 visit to Washington, D.C., I spent 2 days in the offices of Senators Durbin and Duckworth and Representatives Kinzinger and Underwood. When I returned home, I was encouraged at the potential of enlisting federal financial assistance in addressing our Annie Glidden issues and ideas. Now, much has occurred over the last few years. This task force has evolved into Opportunity DeKalb, continuing the vision of Annie Glidden North. Kudos to Mayor Barnes and this council in taking the steps necessary to rid the area around Black Hawk and Hillcrest Drive of bad landlords and unsightly real estate. We now have an excellent opportunity to continue this great momentum. Our community is so much richer because of the efforts of Dan Kenny in spearheading the DeKalb County Community Gardens proposal before you tonight. I encourage this council to embrace this proposal, and I strongly endorse it. Thank you.
All right, I also have Joel Mauer. Joel. Former city engineer, Joel Mauer. Good to see you, Joel.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Joel Mauer at 618 Hannah Court in DeKalb, and I've come to speak in support of the chef proposal by DeKalb County Community Gardens for development of the Hillcrest and Black Hawk parcels. I know it's a later item of the agenda, but I got a time commitment, so I'll be quickly speaking and move on. The DCCG proposal is comprehensive in responding to the RFP by addressing many of the neighborhood needs, as Jerry mentioned, for the Annie Glidden North revitalization. My Hannah Court address is only about 3 blocks away from Black Hawk Road, and I frequently walk in that area over to Hillcrest and Black Hawk. Others in the area, I'm sure, will be like me and get involved with the completed DCCG project by volunteering in the outdoor gardens and greenhouses. I'm also excited, too, about the food market, the restaurant, the meeting space offered, and some reduced stormwater impacts to the area by this project. There will be employment opportunities for Annie Glidden North residents, possibly by growing and selling plants and fresh vegetables in the proposed food market. The area is noted as food insecure, so offering fresh produce grown in the garden will be a benefit to the area. And I've noticed DCCG distributes food throughout DeKalb County, and this location for the garden and a distribution hub will be vital to distributions in this area and northern DeKalb County. The other proposal by NIU does not seem to address food insecurity. There are opportunities for community gatherings with outdoor market, a community commercial kitchen, a small restaurant and conference room space for groups and community meetings. Collaborations with possibly offering library materials, a possible family justice center, possible health services partner, and job training are vital additions to this area. I'll also mention, yes, this proposal may unfold in stages as fundraising permits and local needs are better identified, such as the cop shop and the other partnerships committing later. But I have seen the evolution of this project from DCCG planning over the past several years, and the business plan and the break-even analysis, financial analysis has been ongoing with modifications along the way. So it's progressing and taking the proper steps. And success from grant writing awards and donation partners and finding networked other partners have been growing by the month. I strongly recommend council continuing with DCCG over the next few weeks to work collaboratively to fine-tune any issues concerning the viability of this proposal. So groups like Opportunity DeKalb, the DCCG leadership and architects we see here, and other area stakeholders will be willing partners to bring this project to the DeKalb Blackhawk Hillcrest area and serve a diverse population of the Annie-Glidden North area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mauer. I have literally a pile of speaker requests, so I'm just going to address also, we have incredibly extensive background material provided by city staff to us, as well as in the RFP itself. So we've read it. We totally understand what the proposal is before us. We're really interested in what specific detail you might want to call out to us. Again, I'm trying to be as considerate as possible. Oh, sorry, that was your timer, Joel, which you beat, which is great. But really trying to make sure that we keep tonight's meeting as tight as possible. So with that, our next speaker I have is Mr. Glenn Roby. Glenn. And while he's coming up to the podium, I'll also remind everyone, I didn't do this early on, I have to keep everyone to 3 minutes. I have to do that because I have to be consistent with everyone that comes and speaks before council. So I do set a timer. I see our city staff has now a new timer. So Glenn, you'll be able to see where you're at, hopefully, during that time process. But please don't take offense if I have to cut you off during your presentation. I literally have to be equitable with everyone, and 3 minutes is what everyone has. So, Mr. Roby.
So before I get started.
Yeah, there's precedence for that, huh? But he was a former mayor, all right?
The clock is ticking. I haven't.
I gotcha.
Okay. You just went through a long diatribe prior to my speaking, so I'm just a little curious about that. I stand here before you today as a representative of Opportunity DeKalb as its board vice president. My name is Glenn Roby, which Opportunity DeKalb is a 501c3 community development corporation formed to work collaboratively with others to achieve community revitalization goals after the community called for the creation of such an organization as one of the top 10 goals of the Annie-Glidden North Revitalization Plan. As you're aware, the AGN Revitalization Plan was passed unanimously by the DeKalb City Council and with widespread community support in November of 2018. And the plan was recently reaffirmed in your review of the city's comprehensive plan. Thank you to all of the city, Thank you for all of the City of DeKalb's continued work on everything and achieving the goals of the Annie-Glidden North Revitalization Plan, including distribution of the RFP that is the subject of the discussion at tonight's meeting. Opportunity DeKalb has been active in the last several years in contributing to the progress on the revitalization goals. Our focus has included continued gathering of public input to complement efforts of others, including the City of DeKalb. We have also regularly engaged other parties interested in advancing ideas and projects aligned with the AGN Revitalization Plan. Opportunity DeKalb has also contributed significantly to the work that has informed the proposals of both DeKalb County Community Gardens and NIU. 2 months ago, Opportunity DeKalb was contracted to serve as community liaison by DeKalb County Community Gardens and provided input to their organization as they developed their response to the RFP. Such a role is one we welcome, playing for any development interest that engages us that is seeking to advance a project that aligns with the AGN Revitalization Plan. Our board decided to provide a letter of intent to DCCG that outlines ways our organization would explore partnering with DCCG should the City Council select their proposal. When the Office of the President at NIU decided to form a university's Greek Life Revitalization Task Force, NIU engaged Opportunity DeKalb, and representatives of our organization served as a DeKalb community member on NIU's task force. Our representative helped author the task force report, passages of which are quoted in NIU's response to the RFP. We believe Opportunity DeKalb has a unique and keen understanding of the goals of both proposals. We also recognize that the proposals in their current form cannot both be approved as they have overlapping land use. Some might question if the proposals also have overlap in certain functions. Now in front of us, as a community, the opportunity to make an historic reinvestment in Northwest DeKalb, a desirable outcome is one where everyone works together for the betterment of all. We ask that you formally request both parties to engage in conversations that would seek to address the overlapping land use and functions of both proposals. We believe such a conversation could lead to an ability to accomplish the goals and outcomes of both proposals better than each proposal now done individually. We know you recognize the decision before you is likely to be one of the most important you will make as a public official.
Got to wrap up, Mr. Roby.
Last sentences. 1/4 of DeKalb's population lives in AGN. We know you all understand that DeKalb cannot reach this full potential, including its goals and creating a greater sense of belonging without success in achieving AGN revitalization goals. Last sentence. The outcome here is likely to have impact on generations of DeKalb residents. We have confidence in your leadership to choose a plan that everyone in DeKalb will be proud of. We welcome any input and being a part of that process. Thank you.
You were definitely over.
I'm sorry for taking any time.
So
but-
full disclosure for everyone, Opportunity DeKalb consists of a lot of different organizations. DeKalb County Community Gardens, Northern Illinois University, City Manager Nicholas and myself also are part of Opportunity DeKalb. There has been a lot of dialogue amongst all of us ongoing. This isn't like a new thing that just came before council. This has been a lot of us involved together working towards what we think is going to be the best for the L, we like to affectionately call it. But for me, it's the residents of that neighborhood, which includes students, which include different levels of income. That is a very diverse neighborhood that we need to figure out tonight the direction we want to take on how that neighborhood continues, and I say continues, to develop positively, which is great. So thank you, Mr. Roby.
Thank you.
All right, next I have Sid Kincaid. Sid, I'll leave it up to you. As we discussed, you've got 3 minutes in order to share your comments.
I'm just going to read JJ's comment. You
bet.
have a copy in front of you. He's up in Rockford for whatever reason, but he apologizes that he couldn't get his comment
No
for
worries.
himself. Good evening. My name is JJ Wett, and I was Scott McAdams' campaign chair for his reelection campaign. Sorry I cannot be with you in person this evening. As all of you know, Scott McAdams was reelected as the 5th Ward Alderman this past Tuesday. While this is a great victory for DeKalb, I have a few concerns about the smear campaign ran against him and the overall ethics of this community. Prior to his announcement, it was very apparent that a small group of residents in DeKalb and previous residents of DeKalb had a vendetta against Alderman McAdams. These residents and previous residents have run a deeply hateful and cruel smear campaign made up with embellishments and pure lies. This vendetta carried over to his campaign and wasted taxpayer money by filing a frivolous lawsuit to kick Scott off the ballot. Scott prevailed, but the taxpayers suffered from this group's disingenuous actions. As a political leader, I also need to point out that another individual bullied Derek Van Buren about his speech disability. That was also unacceptable. All in all, I was very disheartened by this election cycle, and I apologize for my actions. They were not right of me, and I got sucked into the mudslinging. Going forward, we can do better, DeKalb. Let's campaign on the issues and focus on making a better community. I just would like to add my own remarks as well.
You got time.
Scott has some retaliation against some of these attacks against him. But I recognize that there are citizens who are practicing their rights in holding their government officials accountable, filing FOIA requests, speaking at meetings, making public comments. They have the right to do that. But even as citizens having that duty to hold their government officials accountable, they should be doing so in as responsible manner as they possibly can. And I don't believe that they have been doing so. I thank JJ for recognizing his own responsibility in this mudslinging. But I would hope that on both sides, both government officials and members of the public, that you ask yourself, what are my actions doing to help my fellow citizen? So, thank you.
Appreciate it, Sid. All right, so I got a little lost here. All right, moving on to agenda item F. That was all we had for public participation on E. Believe me, we've got a ton coming from I2. All right, so moving on to agenda item F, appointments, we have none. Then moving on to agenda item G, consent agenda. Number 1, minutes of the regular city council meeting on March 27, 2023. Number 2, accounts payable and payroll through April 10, 2023 in the amount of $2,761,065.99. 3, investment and bank balance summary through February 2023. 4, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through February 2023. 5, DeKalb Chamber of Commerce 2022 annual report. 6, DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau 2022 annual report. And 7, DeKalb Municipal Band 2022 annual report. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by, I think, Alderman Favor. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Agenda item H, public hearings, we have none. So moving on to considerations, I, and we moved it up to, the ordinance up to J1, right? Not I1.
Correct.
Correct, yeah, okay, I just want to make sure. All right, so I1, consideration of a status report from Sam Schwartz Consulting LLC regarding the feasibility of commuter rail service to DeKalb. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In January of this year, as you know, the council approved a consulting agreement with Sam Schwartz Consulting of Chicago, and the purpose was to explore the financial feasibility of a commuter rail connection to the city of DeKalb. The focus of the studies, the potential ridership, capital costs, operating requirements of such rail service, and we're very pleased to have our partner, Northern Illinois University, representing all the students, faculty, and staff of that great institution as very much a party to this investigation. But we couldn't do it alone. We don't know much about railroads, but Sam Schwartz Consulting does. And with us tonight is Matt Warrenchuk, who's the principal of the firm, leader of the consultant team working with us, who will briefly describe the findings of the first 2 phases of a 3-phase study. Matt.
Good to see you again, Matt. This is exciting stuff.
So I was warned that this is what it was going to be. So.
They're all for you, Matt.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. So,
I did have a moment where I kind of thought,
Yeah.
maybe.
so you better do a good job, man. This is it.
So I just want to say thank you to City Manager Nicholas for the invitation, and thank you to the council for the opportunity to speak. As City Manager said, my name is Matt Arenchuk. I'm a principal of Sam Schwartz. We're an engineering and planning firm. I'm based in Chicago, and our headquarters are in New York. So we're conducting this feasibility study to look at the potential for a Metra extension to DeKalb. Currently, the Metra Union Pacific West line ends in Elburn. That's 15 miles to the east of DeKalb. So we're completing this feasibility study. We started in January, and it is going to be a 5-month process. So we are intending to deliver a final report at the end of May. The study is reviewing the potential travel market, ridership, cost, grant programs, and the overall decision-making involved with the project. And so we intend to present costs and benefits which can be used by decision makers, including the council here, to decide whether to move the project forward. So this is a status report. I thought what I would do is go through some of the facts and findings that we have at this point in the study. And when you do a feasibility study like this, the first thing you want to do is really understand your travel market. Who's traveling where and how and at what times of day and days of the week. And so that's the first thing that we took on is we wanted to look at all of DeKalb County and look at how many people are traveling from DeKalb into Chicago, and not just the Chicago metropolitan area, but the communities along the Union Pacific West line. So if you're going to extend the rail to the west, you want to know how many people are traveling to those communities, including the city of Chicago. So the number that we estimate is that there are 10,800 daily trips between DeKalb County and those communities along the UP West line. So that's a good number of people. That's a good finding and suggests that there's a robust travel market between here and there. Now, as I mentioned, the closest transit service is the Union Pacific West line, and that operates between Elburn and Ogilvie Transportation Center, which is in downtown Chicago. Currently, there are 23 weekday round trips, 10 Saturday round trips, 9 Sunday round trips between Elburn and Chicago. That number is a little bit less than what Metro was operating on the UP West line pre-2020, pre-COVID. They cut service when people stopped riding and activity was low, and they've slowly started to restore that service. So it's higher than it's been in the last couple of years, a little bit less than what that pre-2020 number looks like. Of course, DeKalb and NIU, Northern Illinois, have a special relationship, and that's one of the really important drivers of looking at this feasibility. So one of the things we looked at was passenger rail in the state of Illinois that's connected to institutions of higher learning. And we found that of the top 5 Amtrak stations in the state of Illinois, each connects to a nearby university. So there is that mutually beneficial relationship between passenger rail and higher education facilities. NIU is the largest university in the state without passenger rail service. So we wanted to dig into that a little bit more. We looked at the, NIU provided zip code information so that we could look at where students are coming from. Of the students that are enrolled currently at the university, 64% originate, their home address is in the Chicago metropolitan area, and 14% of that overall enrollment comes from communities along the Union Pacific West line. So, when you think about how many people are traveling and when they would want to travel, those kids that are coming from those western suburbs, they're really kind of that home travel market that I think we're interested in thinking about. We also looked at employees and faculty and staff from NIU, and 17% of those employees live along the Union Pacific West line as well. So, the potential for that travel market for people to connect to the university is really robust. Now, as far as where we the other piece that we're really digging into now, it's infrastructure and operations. So, we're interested in what this project could look like and, what are the different stakeholders involved. There's 15 miles of track between Elburn and DeKalb. It's owned and maintained, I think you all know, by Union Pacific Railroad. Union Pacific must give permission for Metra to operate on their track. Currently, there are 2 tracks between Elburn and DeKalb. We had a high-level meeting with Union Pacific to just describe the project, kind of an introductory meeting. And they've indicated to the project team that there's significant infrastructure upgrades that would be required. And of course, all of that kind of comes back to this, we have to give permission, so what do we want to get back in return? So what we're looking at right now in the feasibility study is what is the infrastructure needs and what is the capital cost surrounding that? The city would need to enter into an agreement with Metra to operate the extension. The feasibility study is exploring the annual cost. So there's an annual cost of operating and maintaining the train service, and the city, or however it's ultimately decided, would have to pay into Metra in order to operate the extension of the service. So we're looking into those options and would have some numbers to report back in about 6 weeks. And then the last 2 things here, we're also defining the number of potential trips that could get extended. So we're looking at the Union Pacific West schedule and figuring out how many trips. I think some of this kind of comes back to, traditional commuter rail markets are inbound in the morning towards Chicago and then outbound in the afternoon, 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m. But with NIU and sort of that non-traditional student market, we really wanted to look at a range of different service options. And so that's what we've defined in the feasibility study is sort of a small, medium, and large, where you've got, just a handful of trips, or maybe more of a full-scale type extension where you, and that's particularly geared towards students that would want to travel in the middle of the day or nighttime or on weekends. And then the last thing, and I think I mentioned this in my introduction, we're looking at grant programs. We want to give some options at the end of the feasibility study of what could happen with those next steps. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Council, questions or comments for Matt? Yes, Alderman Morris.
I'm just curious. So you guys estimated that 10,800 people travel daily between DeKalb County and the other communities. I'm just curious, how do you estimate that?
So we used a software program called Replica. It is a model that models trips. It's part of Google. And it uses a blend of cell phone data and other census information to determine how many people are traveling. What's kind of interesting in sort of this post-COVID environment is, you could see, if you go back a couple years, this dip, because people weren't traveling, and now it's all sort of come back. And so, yeah, that was the program that we used.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It's total Big Brother. I mean, we all wonder, like, how does it know the traffic is going to be bad ahead of you? It's because of all the cell phones in the pockets of the people ahead of you on the interstate. They're not disclosing your information exactly, but they are taking advantage of that cell phone data. So, yeah, Big Brother is giving us a lot of information on ridership is there. Other comments or questions? Any follow-up, City Manager? Or? It's exciting. I mean, I know this is the preliminary, just, hey, this is what we've seen, but we figured there was ridership available to make this feasible to move to phase 2, and it sounds like we got a lot of people that would probably like to hop on a train from the city of DeKalb and head east, so I'm excited to see the final results. Oh,
I just thought of
yes,
one
City
thing,
Manager.
and people in the audience, people watching tonight will wonder, well, when do I get to ask some questions, and when do we see something? So, working with the consultant, we'll have what they call tabling options, both at NIU and also around the community when the report is done, and that should be active and engaged. And then back to the council as we see some hard numbers and make some hard choices.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, appreciate it, Matt. Thank you. All right, without further ado, agenda item I2. All right, a couple of housekeeping things. I already mentioned it, but literally, the library will close before we're done with public comment. So I encourage all of you to, one, understand many have reached out to every alderperson out here. We are been involved in this process. We are highly familiar with the details of the RFP. So please, if you can, keep your comments specific to something you want to make sure that you want to highlight. And then also, if you could, if someone literally came up and said exactly what you were going to say, if you could just raise your hand and say, I'm good, Mayor, I really would appreciate that. We have a full agenda to get on. And also, so you all understand, this isn't, we're accepting a yay, nay, RFP, transact, property, title being transferred. What we're trying to do right now is hear from both the RFPs and understand what next steps could be. So absolutely positively appreciate your feedback, but again, I just want to make sure everyone realizes we have a large agenda. And also just to anticipate it based off of some other meetings, this is a meeting we have to conduct in public. It's not a public meeting. So what we want to do is we want to give everyone the opportunity who wants to be able to make their comments. Then council is going to hear from the people that actually submitted the RFP. That's not an open dialogue here. You all have your chance to speak. We're going to have a conversation with the people presenting, and we're going to figure out what next steps are moving forward. We have to do that in the public, which is awesome, so you get to hear exactly where we stand on stuff. But I just want to make sure everyone understands that we're not going to go back and forth, because again, I bet that would take 8 hours if that was possible. And if you want, you can always run for alderman or mayor in the next election cycle, 2 years and 4 years from now. All right. So with that, I'm going to get on to public comment. With everything I just said, and I want to remind everyone you have 3 minutes to speak, and I will kick it off with former Mayor John Ray. Mayor Ray, if you want to come up and share your comments, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to speak this evening in endorsement of the
DeKalb Community Gardens project chef. DeKalb Community Gardens has 11 years of successful operation of food supply to the local community. Expanded community gardens from a single garden at Brooks Elementary School to 15 acres and 2 greenhouse sites has been their history. Over the past decade, they have broadened both the organization's mission and scope, which now includes ending hunger, empowering individuals through nutrition, education classes, and job training. They created Grow Mobile, which together with Boxes of Hope, serves 15 communities from these 15 acres and 2 greenhouses of growing space. Community Gardens has become a distributor of local food stuffs to food pantries, homeless shelters, public housing units, and congregate meal centers across the northern Illinois region. Community Gardens seeks to grow sustainable communities through collaboration and economic development. You can see their proven track record in their performance. In Project Chef, Community Gardens has networked with the community, preparing a well-thought-out plan in response to your request for proposals. The Chef Project addresses expressed needs of the Annie Glidden North neighborhood. Community Gardens building team has engaged partners in their proposal, including architects, a strategic consulting firm in food planning, food system planning, and food enterprise development, a web development, design, and video service firm. The building team has been cultivating partnerships for operating services and fundraising. The Chef Project would be an improvement to the neighborhood. It improves the image and changes the public's perception of Annie Glidden North neighborhood. It would be a catalyst for more investment. Continued collaboration with partner organizations assures viability of the Chef Project. It becomes an anchoring institution, transforming the neighborhood. Project Chef brings a viable, creative, and innovative solution to the community which national or regional grocers will not provide. Project Chef makes the neighborhood a better place to live. Its design is environmentally friendly with rooftop solar and water runoff systems, a system to recycle rain and rainwater from the site. Community Gardens is open to further use of the property with potential of a Greek community center. Solid thoughts are represented in the strategic plan, which contributes more than anything to its success. And I encourage you to accept a Community Gardens Chef Project proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Ray. Have a good night, Matt. Mr. Sid Kincaid, would you like to come up to talk about this item, or are you good? Are you still? Okay, all right. David Castro.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Thank you, council members, for the work that you do for the city. I'm going to shorten my speech here to about half for the benefit of everybody. My name is David Castro. I'm a resident of 5th Ward in the city of DeKalb. I am here to express my support for the Chef Center proposal of the DeKalb County Community Gardens, or DCCG. To put my support in context, I will provide a bit of background. For 6 years, I was a member of the Planning Commission of the City of DeKalb starting in 2013 until 2019. In 2018, I formed part of the City of DeKalb Task Force for the revitalization of the Annie Glidden North neighborhood. I was one of those few members at the beginning of what today we call Opportunity DeKalb, organization you heard about earlier, and that is dedicated to the implementation of the recommendations of the 2018 Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan. Since 2020, I have been a member of the Board of Directors of DCCG, and since 2022, I have been the President of the Board of Directors of DCCG. DCCG was started more than 10 years ago out of an idea that could be articulated in multiple ways. And for simplicity, I invite you to dwell on this image, which we can also call a moral imperative. No one should go to bed hungry. No one should go to bed hungry. Its simplicity is part of its power that mobilized many people in DeKalb County to get their hands in the dirt, to plant, to cultivate, to weed, to care, to harvest, and eventually distribute the product of their efforts across the county. No one should go to bed hungry. Historically, the DCCG Board of Directors has been composed of many of those same volunteers that have propelled this organization forward. Forward, it has moved across DeKalb County with 2 grow mobiles and mobile pantries that deliver food to wherever it is needed. In many instances, DCCG delivers to the house or apartment or condominium of those in need. No questions asked. Forward with our Walnut Grove Vocational Farm near Kirkland and the Food Hub and Commercial Kitchen in Genoa, where many of our incipient ideas are being tested. Forward has taken us to today. The DCCG Board of Directors is seeking an equally strong presence in the city of DeKalb, where many of our services go. The proposal in front of you for the Chef Center is our vision for that presence. The Board of Directors and its many allies stand ready to fundraise, to build, to plant, to cultivate, to weed, to care, and to harvest for our communities, for no other reason than the imperative that no one should go to bed hungry. Would you, the city of DeKalb, join us? Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. All right, I have Andrew Wanick. Andrew Wanick. Did I say it right?
Close, thank you. Andrew Wanick. I'm
There.
Vice President of DeKalb County Gardens Board of Directors. I'm an architect. My husband works at the university. We own a home in the 2nd Ward, just off Hillcrest, and I'm a Greek alum. A commercial developer uses their profit goals to drive their building design, quality, and ongoing maintenance. Those 3 things are often commensurate on the income level of the neighborhood. Furthermore, that profit generally leaves the neighborhood, sometimes the city and county as well. By contrast, we reinvest in the neighborhood, and our building development is led by our values. We retained a national architecture firm with a track record for designing regenerative places that strengthen communities. The Chef Complex is a uniquely innovative building for DeKalb. With its sustainable features, it will serve as a demonstration site for students and educators to learn green building technologies. Interior spaces foster social interaction between all community members and integrate with outdoor rooms used for markets and gathering spaces. A south-facing wall of glass floods a 2-story atrium with light that creates a sunny oasis for coffee, lunch on a cold winter day. A sequence of glowing greenhouses, active year-round, are abuzz with workers and volunteers tending to thousands of plants, while others learn life-affirming vocational skills. Shoppers, inspired by the colorful display of flowers and greeneries throughout the property, make this a destination for spring annuals, fall mums, holiday decor, because they know their dollars will stay local. A public rooftop space with views of campus and dramatic sunsets make it a place like no other in DeKalb. What I'm trying to say is that it's going to bring life here, but the key to that is the walkability. Don't push this out somewhere else. This is the place for it. This Chef Complex is a landmark building, the kind that people take pride in, the kind that garners positive attention regionally and nationally, the kind that welcomes people to the neighborhood and invites them to stay. Ergo, the kind of building that brings further investment. This project changes the narrative for Annie Glidden North. In doing so, it lifts my neighborhood, it lifts Greek life, it lifts NIU, and this is what our city has been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Malia Jones. Malia Jones, you still here? There you are. Long time no see. All right, again, a reminder, Malia, 3 minutes.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank
Evening.
you for having me. This project is very awesome. It's very needed for our community. One of the things that I am super excited about is it allows people to have jobs, workshops, education. One of the things I really would like anybody who partners with this, and if and when you guys approve this project, that we focus on mental health training as well and providing outlets for our youth. If there's a way that this project can collaborate with the middle schools and high schools and provide a space for them to learn and educate and redirect their behaviors. Behavioral issues is a big thing in our school districts, and so if we can find a way to allow this facility to be a safe space for them inside of school and outside of school, we could probably partner and allow them to redirect their behaviors and, be more efficient in the community. When they have their hand in the community, they're more likely to be successful in our community instead of, negative reinforcement. Let's focus on positive reinforcement. That's all I wanted to add.
Thanks, Malia. Linda Slabone. I know I got that wrong, and I'm sure I appreciate you correcting me, because I want for the record, your name to be pronounced correctly.
Thank you. It's sleigh as in sleigh bells and bon as in bonbons.
I love it, as in sleigh bells. Thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I've lived and worked in DeKalb for over 33 years. Over the course of my career, I've worked as a clinical social worker with Youth Service Bureau and Family Service Agency, and as a professional ordained minister of the Unitarian Universalist congregation here in DeKalb. In addition, I've served on the DeKalb County Board, local nonprofit boards, and on various committees. I live in Ward 1, where Carolyn Morris is my alderman, and I live within walking distance of the property that you are considering for redevelopment. To be clear, I want to state, how does support for the development of a Greek social building, and forgive me if I'm confused about this, but I think it is intended to serve only Greek students and NIU, not strike this body as elitist, and serves only those who are already privileged. How, I would be interested to learn, is that a better decision than supporting a community center that from its earliest conception has been committed to education, support, and engaging people in their efforts to build healthy lives for themselves and their families? Regarding the DCCG proposal that you received, we know that as a result of their work and programming to assist people out of poverty, they hit a milestone in 2021. From 2012 to 2021, they distributed over 2 million pounds of food and served over 247,000 people. They have grown from 3 volunteers to over 500 volunteers, and in 2022 alone served over 23,000 people. The Center for American Progress teaches, and I quote, "Poverty is a policy choice, so is cutting it." Poverty would be twice as high in this nation if not for decades of investment through anti-poverty programs. COVID has put many, many more people at risk. The Center for American Progress states that safety net programs help people weather a variety of economic crises by meeting basic needs and providing stability. This is the #1 solution to cut poverty and boost economic security for all. As a young woman, I thought that...
We're close, Linda, just so you know, timing.
I thought that people would give from their wealth because they saw it to be the right thing to do. But I was naive. I was naive about materialism and...
Please wrap up, Linda. We got a lot of people that want to speak.
I will. And monetary systems that rely on maintaining us in have and have not positions. I see this center as an opportunity to create a stronger and more vibrant neighborhood, community, town, and nation.
Thank you, Linda. We'll close there.
Please be leaders of vision and equity. I appreciate this time. Thank you.
All right, Ellingsworth Webb. And as a reminder to everyone, if you know that I hope everyone read the background material like council did. We understand community gardens, we understand the RFPs before us, so please, if you could keep your comments to something that would be maybe new information to us or something you feel strongly about, that would be great. At this point, we are not going to finish the meeting, so I don't know how I'm going to handle that as we continue on, because I've got about 20 more that we have to get through. So brevity would be great. Go ahead, Ellingsworth.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a member of the community. I've lived here for 47 years. My initial induction to the community, I lived at 904 Hillcrest, which is in the community where we're talking about the Chef Project. I think it's more than a great presentation that you all received. It lays out the facts clearly. I also continue to work in the community. I'm a member of Opportunity DeKalb. I'm also a member of the county. So I've seen everything that this can do to be a positive direction for the community. What we want you to look at is not just the presentation, but the lives that it will change and what it means for the community that it's going to be going into. It's also an opportunity for us to be here to talk about the growth. 2 years ago, we were seeing quite a few different things about what was happening in Annie Glidden North. The vision has been to really come forward and move it to a great place. We have 2 proposals tonight. That's really a great thing that's happening in the community. I want to thank those who have submitted those components. I also have a love for NIU. I was 9 years with the Alumni Association, including the vice president of it. So I know what all of these parts and the moving parts can mean to the neighborhood. What I encourage that you do is to look beyond just the 2 projects that has been presented to you today, but the other buildings that may currently exist on the L and what can possibly be done to those to allow for expansion for both projects to work effectively. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellingsworth. Cheryl Knack. Cheryl Knack.
I'm going to use my teacher voice and...
You have to come up to the podium if you're going to speak.
I'm not going to speak.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so if you don't talk, you could save some time.
I appreciate it, Cheryl. Whole bunch. Thank you.
Just kidding, just kidding.
Oh, no, you actually have to come to the podium because it has to be part of the public record then if you're going to speak, and people are listening at home and they can't hear you unless you're in front of the microphone, so sorry about that.
Even a teacher's voice isn't good enough.
It is not. Believe me, I'll hear about it. All right, so you have 3 minutes, sure.
Oh, I'll be done in less than that because I support what has been said before in the facts from just one correction. It started as a garden at Clinton Rosette Middle School to what it is today. Dan called me and said, hey, I got an idea. Do you want to be part of this? And I was just retiring from middle school, and I know you can think if you're looking at somebody who spent 30 years in middle school, you're not going to trust anything I say because you might think I'm an alcoholic. Because I really wanted to be there every day. But my point will be that through all the things that have been listed tonight, this is the next best step and the natural right step for what DCCG should do next. Because not only does no child need to go to bed hungry, everybody deserves good food. So,
Thank you. All right, Nancy Prozel. Nancy? Okay, thank you. Jennifer Johnson.
Good evening, thank you. My name's Jennifer Johnson, and I live in Alderwoman Larson's district. And I moved to DeKalb about 2 years ago with my family, so I'm a relatively new resident. We love it here. There are many strengths that I could list, but we don't have time for that. So I'm going to go with what is missing for me. A lot of times my family and I will go to neighboring communities that do have more urban green spaces, nature centers, discovery centers. When I saw this plan, I was like, this is it. I love it. I want to go there all the time. I don't live that close, but I want it to be a community and a neighborhood that I feel safe in as well. And I think everybody deserves that. So I would love to see more urban green spaces, and piggybacking off of what Police Chief Boyd said about indicators and perception, seeing places that are green and community gathering spaces makes me think that that community is rich economically as well and can afford to put their resources into beautiful places like that. And Sorry, I'm trying to be quick here, but I'm also part of the Action Council for Birth to 5 Illinois here in Region 16, DeKalb County. And one of the big things besides a deficit of childcare spots is just a place for people to be with their families and small children and have those nature-based education opportunities. And I think this could really lend itself to that, along with all of the great things that everybody else has said. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Brandon Olson. Brandon Olson. Welcome, sir. No worries. Life.
Hello, my name is Brandon Olson. I'm a student at NIU. I'm currently a nursing student, currently a sophomore. I'm here to support the garden project. I think it's a lot better for the community. I think it's a lot more beneficial for the people that live in DeKalb. Personally, I don't think that the fraternities or sororities need more space. I think the university should prioritize spaces within the university already. The Student Center has plenty of meeting rooms and things that they do not use. And then there's plenty of other buildings on campus that are not utilized either. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. All right, Lynn Wynn. Lynn Wynn. Oh, there went it. Scott, psst, can you grab that for me? Lynn Wynn, are you here? Okay, thank you. All right, Lynn, you got 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn Nguyen. I live in Ward 2. Other person, Barb Larson, represent me on the City Council. Thank you, Barb. I also want to thank the City Council for being visionary leaders for our city. Appreciate that. I am an immigrant. I grew up halfway across the globe in Saigon, Vietnam, right after the American troops left their ally. Life was a struggle, but I was fortunate enough to have loving parents who instilled in me a thirst for knowledge and a desire to help others. Books were too expensive for my family, but I love to read, so my mother bought old books in kilograms when they were sold as recycling paper. While others saw recycling paper, my mom saw in those pages land we may never travel to and stories we may never experience. So as a teenager, I read Roots, the Saga of an American Family by Alex Haley. I learned about the injustices Black humans endure in America before I knew I would be living here. Being dirt poor did not turn me into a criminal. Being poor with access to books, tattered and old books, make me a resourceful, knowledgeable, and compassionate leader. The Shep Center collaborate with DeKalb Public Library to make books and other library material available in the North Annie-Glidden community, where residents may not have transportation. We can change the culture of the North Annie-Glidden area with the Shep Center. It will provide a safe space for community to gather, connect, and create. The Shep Center will fill urban gaps with life. It will bring a sense of normalcy and security to the neighborhood. The Shep Center will provide cafe, gardens, children place area, spaces to exchange ideas and benches to sit on and not feel like a trespasser in our own city. Imagine children getting off the school bus and running joyfully to the gardens where they learn to grow life instead of walking past a crime scene where a life was just taken. Imagine open spaces with greeneries that invite diverse people. These are the people you serve. If you take a look among you and look down here and out in the hall, you see what I'm talking about. So invite diverse people to be together effortlessly, where human exchanges turn into meaningful relationship. Imagine the health benefit, physical and mentally, of living in a safe, accessible, lively, and democratized. I will ensure that the North Annie-Glidden citizens understand the power of their votes. The Shep Center sounds like a dream. It doesn't have to be. It can be your reality.
Thank you,
if you
Wynn.
give the DeKalb County Community Garden a chance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Tiffany Sanders. Tiffany Sanders?
Hello. My name is Tiffany, and I grew up here. I've been here since I was 5. I lived in the village, and then we had a house across the way, and now I live on the corner of Annie Glidden and Varsity. And as much as I've seen this town grow and change, the change didn't look too bright at first, you know? And I think with this, we have the opportunity to change and engage our youth. Right now, I work at DeKalb High School, and I see firsthand what these kids are going through. I'm all about engaging them in a way to get them off the streets, to get them off their phones, to get them to do more. And so I fully support everything that the Chef Project is, because when I was a kid, I wished that we had it then. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Danita Sims? Danita Sims? Danita? Okay, I know, we're a packed house. Thanks for helping.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dania.
So glad to see all these wonderful faces. I'll be quick. As a nonprofit leader here in DeKalb, as well as a workforce development professional, I was absolutely excited about seeing the Chef Project. I also studied urban planning some years ago, and the idea of using one specific space for so many different opportunities is amazing. I also do some job coaching through our DeKalb Township office, and being able to work with people who are transitioning careers for the past decade or so. I'm very well aware of a lot of job seekers in this area who are looking for innovation, looking for opportunities in entrepreneurship. They're more creative. And so the idea of creating a hub in a space that's shared and welcoming and safe, I think would be a fantastic idea. And I can't wait to be a part of the sustainability of that type of idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Danita. Jessica Sima? Did I get that right?
Chima, but that's
Chima,
everybody
dang it.
gets it wrong. Hi, my name's Jessica Chima. My husband and I are both NIU employees. We moved to the DeKalb area 5 years ago and
Awesome.
purchased a home in the Elwood Historical District.
Beautiful
And
neighborhood.
Thank you. We moved here from Washington, D.C. with the intention that the one thing that I wanted in life, period, was a garden. A garden to raise my children with, and those values, and learning about their food, where it comes from, and teaching them invaluable lessons from that experience. I also would consider myself a community builder. Every friend that I have had a deep and lasting relationship with here in DeKalb was born out of time spent together in my garden, food shared, plants shared, resources, and knowledge. And when I heard about this proposal, I just feel as if it's a large-scale vision of my own personal lived experience here in DeKalb. I also have 2 young daughters under 5, as I mentioned, and my daughter's best friend is being raised by a single mother who is an NIU student who lives in this area. And they have repeatedly told me how much they long for a space such as this. They spend most weekends at our house together with us in our garden, and it is just amazing to see children of that age being able to learn patience, knowing where their food comes from, all basic skills taught right there in that space. And I just could not be more supportive of this idea and concept. I think it would be transformative to our community. So thank you for considering it.
Thanks, Jessica. And I'm going to, Rafe, where are you? I saw you. Wonderful.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Raif Majid. I currently serve as the student body president of Northern Illinois University, and I'm also a resident of the Annie Glidden North neighborhood. I currently reside at 1114 Blackhawk, so I have a front row seat of the L lot and everything that takes place there, and I've done so since 2019. And I'm here to speak in support of the Greek Life Community Center proposal that is put in front of you all today. And As a resident of that area, I've personally firsthand seen many of the challenges that come with residing in that area. While I am a Greek member as well, there are hundreds of non-Greek students that also happen to reside in that area that also happen to attend NIU. And as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of socioeconomic issues that take place in that area specifically. And I am a firm believer that higher education plays a key role in alleviating poverty and advancing society as a whole. If you're unaware, NIU serves a very unique student population that aims to serve underserved students that might not otherwise have access to higher education. And any project such as this that helps with the recruitment, engagement, and retention of students is one that I would strongly support and urge you all to support as well. So thank you again for the time. I just want to keep it brief, and I really appreciate you, and I hope you all consider this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anita Zerber, I saw you. There you are. Wow. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Good evening, Anita Zerbrug. I live at 19249 Nelson Road, DeKalb. Lifelong resident, three-time graduate from NIU. Still think it's a great university, even though the Ohio State might be up there too.
Hey now. Hey now. Huskies conference.
I'm not going to share all the comments I was going to share earlier, other than knowing the community gardens since its inception. I'm very supportive of all the work that it does. I think this chef project is exactly what this community needs at a time when many of us are uncertain about unsettling times. This is an opportunity to make this community more resilient, more welcoming, safer, and also very receptive to more development in a positive way. So I encourage each of you to support this project. Thanks.
Thanks, Anita. Eric Ogie. Did I get that right?
Ogie.
Ogie. Dang it.
It's all right.
All right.
There'll be more opportunities. I'm Reverend Eric Ogie. I am a resident of DeKalb. I'm a pastor of the Federated Church in Sycamore, and I want to speak to you all tonight, everyone gathered here, as a community pastor. This past January, I was asked to speak at a community celebration of Dr. King at New Hope Baptist Church. And after I offered a call to action to conclude our time of reflecting on Dr. King's words and legacy and what it might look like for us to stand in that legacy today, a community member came up to me and he said, "So that was nice and all, but I'm still wondering what concrete things I can do or we can do." And if he were here tonight, I would tell him our city council moving forward with the RFP submitted by the community gardens, that is one significant, concrete, structural action that could be taken that would align with Dr. King's legacy. Diluting it by trying to be all things to all people, splitting the lot, will in this case lead to a dilution of the very goals that the revitalization plan has set out. DCCG's plan, as it clearly articulates, uses the entire property to most effectively meet those needs. And of course, we will continue to work, as we always have, with other community partners. The thing is, too often, like the white moderates that Dr. King often rebuked, many of us have wanted to claim Dr. King's legacy and his vision of beloved community without any actual risk to our status or privilege or those special interests with deep pockets. We want to form belonging councils and we want to paint murals with Dr. King's words without putting our money where our mouths are by actually investing in the predominantly black, brown, poor, and marginalized neighborhoods that he advocated for. Dr. King didn't give his life for symbolic gestures and uplifting visuals and nice quotes on walls. He gave his life pressing people in power to have the moral and political courage to do what they know is right and to make the structural changes that will actually uplift people's lives. Don't forget 75% of those living in AGN on food stamps are children, and no one should go to bed hungry. Tonight, we are simply asking you, after all of this is over and you close the doors and you have your discussions, We are asking you to do what the community has asked you to do, overwhelmingly said that it wants and needs. If you've read these RFPs, you know that they're not even close in comparison. One is the result of being engaged in community discussions and seeking structural solutions to systemic problems for years. One of these is in the position to invest in a multi-million-dollar development project focused on meeting those needs because of the immense groundswell of a multiracial coalition formed over a decade.
Thank you, Eric.
In the name of true belonging, I am asking you to have the courage to do the right thing, what your elected constituents have asked you to do.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, Sheila Chase. Sheila Chase. Is there a Sheila Chase? Hello, Sheila. What? Sure, I could call in on deck. Jeff Liesendahl and Andrew Tillotson, you guys are on deck. All right, Sheila, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening,
Thanks for coming out.
everyone. Hope everybody's doing great.
Yes, ma'am.
I thank my honorable mayor and all of the legislators that are here tonight. I put both of these proposals, I juxtaposed them. I put them side by side. And I looked at the pros and I looked at the cons. On one side of the table, the chef proposal wanted to empower individuals. They wanted to empower people to have a place to go, a safe place to go. Whereas opposed to the quote-unquote university, and there is life in our area. I am a proud resident of Annie Glidden North, very proud. And there is already life there. But what we need is a foundation that's going to enhance that life. Now, the proposal from NIU and the Greek life, it only focuses on that. But there are other lives in the community other than Greek. There are more lives in the community that needs a safe space, that needs the education, that can put their hands in the dirt and feel real life, that can plant and grow. So I ask you all tonight to put your wonderfully smart, intelligent heads together and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. Jeff Liesendahl.
Hi, I'm Jeff Liesendahl. I was a co-chair of the Greek Life Revitalization Task Force at Northern. I'm also a long-term trustee of the NIU Foundation. I'm here tonight in support of the Greek Life Community Center, but I just want to give some background. The Greek students in that neighborhood and the NIU students have been long-term residents of that neighborhood. The first fraternity, sorority house was built 60 years ago in that neighborhood. We've continued to grow in that neighborhood, and what you're seeing is the Revitalization Task Force is trying to continue that growth, to continue the houses that are there, to continue. We have been an anchor tenant of that neighborhood for a very, very long time. But I think the issue before the council tonight, and of course I'm in support of it, but I think the issue for the council tonight is, I came here last fall and I thanked you. I thanked you for all the work that the council has done for the neighborhood as a whole. The city has invested in that neighborhood. The crime rate has gone down. You've made very strategic purchases there to change things. And I applaud what you've done, and I look forward to your continued success changing that neighborhood there. You have a decision tonight, and I think 2-3 years ago we could have never imagined and I'll say this, two great proposals for that neighborhood. I think the challenge before the council tonight is how to make them both work. I believe that they can. I've spent time with Dan. I've been to every one of their locations at the DCCG. I think, let's not cut the baby in half here. Let's be wise. Let's figure out how to make them both work. What that neighborhood needs for everyone is a large investment. A large investment. I believe I love the DCCG project, but we don't just need that. We need both. The citizens of DeKalb, the residents of that neighborhood, which include Northern students, they deserve that neighborhood to grow, to be safe, to have investments put in this. And so I believe you don't have an either-or decision tonight. I believe you have, how do we make them both work? And I think we will all benefit from that. And it's a challenge, but I think the council's proven, based on all the great things that you've done, you have the ability to succeed doing it again. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, Andrew Tillotson. I saw him. Andrew? There you are.
Hello. So my name is Andrew Tillotson. I'm with the Youth Environmental Group Sunrise DeKalb, and I wanted to express my support for the DeKalb County Community Gardens plan to have their chef center. There is a food desert in the Annie Glidden North neighborhood, and having been at some of the meetings that went into the policy behind this and knowing how much work went into these plans, I think we owe it to them to not shortchange them when it comes to the chef center. I know many people that don't have reliable access to food that have had to skip meals because they can't reliably just go to a grocery store. I think that the City Council should very well consider giving their absolutely uncompromising support to the DeKalb County Community Gardens. I wanted to thank everyone else who came out in support of it, and thank you for your time and listening.
Thanks, Andrew. Definitely wanted to reinforce that. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. We're going to move on to the discussion part of this agenda item. So first, I would take a motion to bring it to the floor for discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favors, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. City Manager.
Well, Mayor, maybe at this time we should hear from the presenters.
Sounds good.
That's the best way, and then I'll have some comments after.
Okay. Dan, you want to start us off, or Clint Michael? I'm seeing, okay. Clint Michael, you are the new Vice President of Student Affairs at Northern Illinois University and a real advocate for all of our youth at the university. So welcome tonight.
Absolutely, and thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you and see such passion around such an important topic. So I really appreciate the passion that's been exhibited tonight. So I want to begin by saying that fraternities and sororities have existed at Northern Illinois since 1944, and our students are made up of first generation. Our students are identified as students of color, and from our students in Greek life identify with a marginalized community. What I know is that we have 40 recognized fraternities and sororities making up over 700 students. And like you heard earlier, Greek Row was established and who have been an anchor into this neighborhood in the 60s and early 70s that have houses that are still there today. And so we have 14 organizations that have traditional Greek houses in the Annie Glidden North neighborhood, making up over 500 members. Greeks, Greek life and Greek programming, what we want to know that there is a huge vitality in how Greeks program on our campus with our students. And so we know that in the fall semester alone, there were over 380 events. In the spring semester, we have 410 events scheduled by Greek life students. And our current space is limited and does not create the opportunity for Greek identity development. And so this space and this center will allow Greeks to come together and to have a space where they invite non-Greek students, where they also work with community members, but it's a place that's going to be an anchor and gives them this identity piece that will really help revitalize and to help serve as an anchor within this community. What we know is that in September 2021, President Freeman commissioned a Greek Life Revitalization Task Force. And this was made up of students, it was made up of faculty and staff members, and it was made up of alumni and community partners. Several recommendations came from this task force, including the creation of Greek Life Center, to commit to sustain Greek Row, to enhance and expand the efforts of a presence. We know that there is power in presence, and we want students in this community to serve as a presence of innovation, as a presence of grit, tenacity, and strength. We also know that this center can provide a gathering and meeting space for the neighborhood and a support for the redevelopment of the Hillcrest and the Black Hawk focused area. This area really is going to provide our fraternity and our sorority students with the ability to anchor themselves in a way that allows us to be good partners and good stewards of the community and of the resources that we have. The goal for the center is that in order to be a good partner, we're not asking for the entire land, we're asking for 2 acres of that space. We are asking that we are wanting to have 10 to 12,000 square feet to provide meeting spaces, study lounges, large event spaces, outdoor spaces, and food service. We also will have university staff that are in the area and have a presence in the neighborhood as well. And we know that this space will allow interactive opportunities for students to engage in the possibility for working with tutoring for neighborhood students, to work with community members and partners throughout the DeKalb community for philanthropy, and to think about how to build support for our DeKalb community partners that we are working with. The way that the university is approaching this is a both and, not an either or. And we want this to be seen as a both and. And we see that this space is going to be a space where, yes, our Greek students who are involved in Greek life will have the identity development piece there because they need this for their fraternity and sorority life. But this is also a space where we'll be inviting non-Greek students into, where we will also be inviting community members into to help see how that we can work with philanthropy. The common value for these organizations is service. And there are endless opportunities for service within this neighborhood with our students. Just alone in this past academic year, our Greek students had over 6,300 volunteer hours serving in the community and donated over $35,000. And so we welcome partnership with communities around us. We welcome partnership with the other proposal and the group that is here with us tonight. And we know that we can think about how to face and engage in partnership with the philanthropy efforts of pushing our students' hours of volunteerism, the money that we raise through philanthropy, to address needs like food deserts, food insecurity, thinking about how to help support students with tutoring and learning and enhancing these pieces. We want to partner and support and enhance and expand the effort and attention that is needed with these pieces. Again, this is a both and. This doesn't have to be an either or. We know that the return on investment is also, this Greek Life Center is going to is going to emphasize a return on alumni. We want alumni to come back and see this space and utilize this space. We want this to be a space where alumni want to return, to have a home base, to feel good, to see themselves in this space. And when our alumni return, that also means there's a return on investment in where they spend their dollars, how they give in the community, how they have a presence in the community, and how they support and show up actively in this community. And so we want us to really think about what that means and how we center an alumni presence in that space. The piece is that we know that this is, we're looking at the next steps. And so we've said, again, 2 acres. We don't need the entire space. We would like we are going to be fundraising this money and have this is going to be a part of our comprehensive campaign. We know that we will be bringing in community members for the building and the design piece and allowing folks to have we are going to engage in wide listening sessions. And we're going to think about how it is that we engage folks in a way that is meaningful and can affect in the most positive way. What we know is that This work is, our Greek students are thoughtful, and they have assured us that they want to also work as a both and, to see how they can engage their philanthropy efforts, how they can engage their donation efforts. We do not want to draw students out of the neighborhood. Our goal is to put more students in that neighborhood. The most important thing that we can do as NIU to help revitalize the Annie Glidden North neighborhood is to revitalize Greek life and to get more students centered in that space and to think about how they engage in meaningful ways. Our students are a part of the community. They have been a part of this community since we've had Greek houses built in that. Our students want to thrive and succeed. Our students want to provide uplift. And our students are the exact representation of who we're talking about. First generation, students who are overcomers, students who know that a degree from Northern Illinois not only changes the trajectory of their life, but changes the trajectory of the lives from the communities from which they come. This center is an anchor that is going to help us do that. We are collaborative in nature. We want to be a supportive and good steward of this neighborhood and partner, and so we welcome however we can do that. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your collective wisdom as a council, and I thank you for the talent that you're exhibiting with your work. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Clint Michael. Stay up there a second. I'm feeling does council need a recess? I'm looking, I need heads nodding or shaking. No, okay, all right. Questions or comments for Clint Michael on the AGN? And we can always call Jeff up as well for additional comments since he was chair of the Revitalization of Greek Life Task Force. Council. I know you got them. We need a minute to process.
I've got a question.
Yes, Alderwoman Morris.
So I apologize. I was right behind you while you were speaking. I didn't want to interrupt. So is there a possibility that what you're envisioning for this project could be located elsewhere in the similar space?
So I will tell you, so in that space, we are open to looking at different areas of that land. We are open. When I tell you that we want to be collaborative in nature, we truly do. And so if there is a space that you would recommend, or you think that maybe we need to move more north, that we need to move whatever, we're happy to take that into consideration. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We want to be a good partner. We want to be open and flexible, and we are willing to work with whatever the recommendation would be.
Because in your proposal, there's the 2 acres that you're proposing. It looks like there's opportunity for other things to happen within that space. I think Alderwoman Morris's point is, what if it was just the corner, or do you need the whole 2 acres, or
no,
is northern? Okay.
Absolutely. If we need to go the corner, we can go the corner. We're just wanting to, again, it's about presence. It's about the identity development piece. It's about bringing our alumni back. So however that looks, however that is packaged, right? But we're flexible in how that looks.
Awesome. Council. You wouldn't believe how many conversations have happened around this ahead of time. So we've talked with so many individuals in this audience, one-on-one with each other. So what's important about that is, I would love any comments or questions that we may have that we can say right here in this meeting. Yes, Alderwoman Larson.
Well, just to what you brought up, after you said this before, we have 10 pages. Mm-hmm. And we all do our homework, and we've read this and looked over it, so I don't want to appear like, oh, she doesn't care. We have so much of the information to start asking that would just take up time, so, which I think is why we're all kind of nothing to ask, because we have the information.
So I can clarify, thank you, Alderwoman Larson, so I can clarify in case another council wants to speak up here while I'm talking. You're open to collaboration?
Absolutely.
You're open to, we can move it to the corner, we can do some things.
Absolutely.
Northern Illinois University's proposal is open to further design changes, collaboration with the other RFP, You're wanting to come to the table and
Again,
have
we're-
those discussions on what's
absolutely.
best for the neighborhood.
We want to be a good steward of the resource, we want to be a good steward of the area. We want to have a presence in the area, we want to have the ability to help students flourish, we want to help the neighborhood, and we believe that our efforts with philanthropy and volunteerism and to thinking about how we can reimagine support services within the community, that's what we want to do, essentially. We're open to what this looks like. We want to be in good partnership with all of you and with our colleagues who have also put in an RFP.
Awesome, thank you. Alderman Faber.
So, trying to figure out which piece of paper I was looking at, but there's Greek organizations that don't have a house that would utilize this space.
Yes.
And one of the earlier discussions we had about this facility, the space was potential transportation hub. Do you see increased bus service then to bring students? Because right now, I was going to look for our transportation director. I saw him earlier, but I don't see him right now. There's a bus it's like every 5 minutes from Kimberly to Student Center, and actually that bus then goes from the Student Center to Schnucks. It's 30 minutes one way to Schnucks. So I know there's zip cars out on the parking lot on Annie Glidden. I could see this being kind of more of a transportation hub, bringing access not only to potentially a chef center or to the Greek Life Center, but there's increased, to me, it's the increased traffic will bring more investment to the area, will bring more employment opportunities to the area. So I don't know if that's been in part of your planning.
Absolutely. So 2 points that I want to raise that you bring up so well, so thank you. You mentioned that we have students from our Greek communities who do not have their own houses, right? And so many of those are within our most marginalized Greek communities. So our NPHC Council, which is primarily made up of our Divine Nine, or our Multicultural Greek Council, and things like that. So when you're thinking about issues of marginalization, these students desperately need a place to find a sense of belonging, to have to serve as an anchor, to be in a space where they can build their sense of belonging. And with that, you see that if you're going to talk about equity, you also have to talk about access. And so thinking around getting students there, then yes, we will be looking at issues of transportation pieces, making sure that there are routes that are appropriate, and getting students the ability to get there. A lot of our students are already, like we said, are neighbors in the community, and therefore they live in that community. But our students who don't currently have the houses, we would work to try to make sure that there is transportation pieces to get them to that area.
Yes, Alderman Perkins.
So today, if I look at a map, I don't think there is any real NIU presence in that area. It's technically City of DeKalb. So with this, there would be an NIU presence there. Does that have any influence on policing?
Oh, interesting. So with the NIU Police Department, since
Right.
they patrol their borders, now you have, to clarify, I don't think any of the Greek houses are owned by NIU? Okay, right. So they're all privately owned. That's
Right.
the point of your question.
So now there's going to be NIU brick and mortar.
Correct. So
in that area. So is there an impact on policing in that area?
Maybe potential further collaboration between the NIU police force and the City of DeKalb, which already, there's a lot of collaboration, but now with the physical NIU presence, NIU might lean in even harder from a police presence in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, we have a great partnership with the City of DeKalb Police that would continue, enhance, and expand and grow with this work. There would be opportunities to really expand on that.
Other comments or questions before we bring up the second RFP? And we can always bring Clint Michael back up afterward. We want to hear from both, obviously, and have discussion on next steps. So hearing none other, Clint Michael, that was awesome, but don't go anywhere.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then Dan Kenny, you want to come up and talk about your RFP?
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and City Council, city staff, and all the community members that are here tonight. I really am very moved and touched by all the comments that have been made ahead of me tonight, and I thought I was going to go first and the comments come second, so I will try to focus on what would be new information for the council, and I understand about the background information. One of the reasons you have a lot of background information is because DeKalb County Community Gardens has been working at this for many years, and we have put a lot of money already into planning for this facility, as you can see by the architectural plans, the architectural designs, as well as a business plan, which is in near completion. Let's go to the second slide, which is the project combines, and you've already heard from everybody, you have in the backup material about what the project provides. One of the things I want to point out, though, is I've heard from people in the community that this is just a garden project. It is not just a garden project. As you can see in your background material, there is a commercial retail option to it, as well as many other social services being available right in that location, as well as a lot of economic activity for that location. As Mr. Favor said, as we get more traffic into that area, we're going to see more growth in that area and more interest in investing in that area. A little brief history of this project. It's based on a decade of community input. We have developed a business plan for the multi-purpose chef complex that would house a variety of services, as we've discussed. This business plan, however, is contingent on all the parts. This is an organic project that was built out of the expressed desires of the City Council, community members, and of the 30-member revitalization task force. Just as successful growing of plants relies on a combination of resources and interdependent elements, this project as a whole, we can't just lop off one part of it. It requires all its parts to work in tandem to create a vibrant, sustainable operation. The City Council unanimously designated the chef as a high priority project in its 2018 Annie-Glidden Revitalization Plan, as we've heard before. One thing we didn't hear before is an exact quote from that plan. This project has the potential to impact hundreds of lives in and outside the neighborhood. Few projects offer such a strong possibility for ending the marginalization of the residents of the AGN, end quote. Chef will provide a welcoming environment with many social and entertainment gathering options. Chef will also be a magnet location, offering many educational hands-on learning for NIU and Kishwaukee students of many different departments. Dr. Kurt Thurmeyer could not be here tonight. He is with the Department of Public Administration at NIU. He is working with me to meet with several deans and department chairs at NIU to discuss how to integrate community-based learning in the interdisciplinary setting that the chef can provide. The problems chef is tackling are social, environmental, and economic, as well as the science of environmentally sustainable food production. Thus, DCCG proposes a dynamic, mixed-use design kept concept that achieves 4 overarching goals: addressing the needs and priority of the residents and community, respond to the needs of the college and university students as well as the NIU Greek community, align with the city's vision for developing the Hillcrest Blackhawk property, and advance DCCG's business plan for establishing a chef complex in the AGN neighborhood. As we discuss the various interrelated and interdependent portions of the chef, be aware that each component is designed to provide either economic and commercial revenue streams, jobs, job training, community volunteer opportunities, social benefit, health enhancement, and educational opportunities. let's look at the plan itself, the concept of the building. On the ground level, there will be 3 greenhouses. This will allow a year-round plant and food production. This feeds into the full-service garden center. From the garden center, you can flow into what we are referring to as Hillcrest Crossings, still part of the same building. And the large open commons area that you would walk into as you enter the building would be a gathering space for many different activities and groups, as well as a retail non-food vendor space. This will also have a public library kiosk and will provide opportunity for checking out books and other library-related programming. From the commons, you can enter the cafe, bar, restaurant, or what we call the food hall. This will provide a variety of food options all in one location and will have indoor and outdoor seating. There will also be a food market grocery store, which will be community-owned and operated, as well as the DCCG hub that is now located on Bethany Road. Let's look at the second floor. On the second level is one of the key elements is the sky dining option. An outdoor dining on the second floor that's not available anywhere in DeKalb at the moment. This would be a unique dining experience, and it would provide a large multiple-purpose space that could also serve as an event space and educational space and for outdoor second floor patio activities. Also a shared co-working space with shared office and conference space, allowing for nonprofits to come into the neighborhoods to provide contact with clients. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, we've heard this term before, but we haven't had it defined yet this evening, as a food desert is an area where over 50% of the families and individuals live below the poverty line, and the area is over 1 mile from a full-service grocery store. And when we say full-service grocery store, we don't mean what has been there in the past, which is very limited in what is offering. New Venture Advisors did a market analysis that surveyed over 100 community members. 20% of them were students of the Greek community, as well as non-Greek affiliated students, as well as farmers and business owners, and many others. They looked at whether the food hub capacity was there, potential for food hub users, potential for cafe users, and so on. Some of the key findings of that survey: a small neighborhood grocery store that sells affordable, fresh, and local items, offering quality service and convenient hours, and features other amenities such as an ATM, bank, kiosk, and cafe dining options, was of very high interest, top priority among those interviewed. Interesting economic fact related to that is the hyperlocal market analysis identified a 48% market leakage, which means that there is demand for $4,251,000 worth of grocery items to be purchased than the sales that are now currently taking place. This is within a 15-minute driving distance of that location. Flexible community space available for rent of events and classes, demonstrations and presentations. Another high priority was a cafe that includes a grab-and-go items and baked goods and offers evening dining, culinary classes, food demonstrations, and gardening education classes. A large variety of education classes, as well as youth-oriented activities, can take place in the multi-purpose space and commons. These were the key findings of all those interviews. This project, as has been pointed out by many others tonight, hits on all of the requirements of the RFP for the redevelopment of this property. It also addresses all of the identified needs expressed by the community through multiple community meetings. Next, I'm going to address some of the questions that we've heard previous to this meeting tonight. One question is, how will DCCG be able to raise such a large sum of money? Even without a site, without a central location to be where we could build the chef, we were able to raise $2 million in funding so far. Our capital campaign survey also showed the project is qualified for a variety of funding resources. So without a capital campaign, without doing that yet, we've already raised this sum of money. We've also been awarded a $100,000 grant from the state of Illinois, from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, which we cannot collect on until we have a site. We have received federal grants of $400,000 and $200,000, which are for the building of this building, which have to be used, one of them within a year to 2 years, the other one within 4 years. Part of that is for design work to continue, for the actual construction drawings. Another reason why we are confident that we can arrange the amount of money that we need for this project, in addition to the support we've already received from Springfield, the new budget shows that there's a line item for $20 million to be used for community-owned and operated grocery stores in food desert areas. Also, at the federal level, this coming year, or this coming year or two, there is an unprecedented $30 million coming into the state of Illinois from various programs at the federal level. That's just to our state alone. Foundational grants have also increased for local food system work and projects like this and for community development since the pandemic. It's also an opportunity zone funding possibilities as well as federal direct spending possibilities. Another question is about the timeline. We would be ready to start right away with taking control once we were given permission to use that property and sold that property by our with our offer to purchase. We would be able to start this summer with some market activities in that area, some other community building activities, and carry on into the fall. We would launch the capital campaign right away, and we would look to start construction by next summer or spring, with the first phase being open by the fall of 2024. Hillcrest Crossings construction, we would anticipate being finished and ready for open in 2025. Let me address a few of the what-if questions. First, lots of what-if scenarios have been proposed. One of them is, Dan, what if you get hit by a bus? You'd be surprised, I've heard that more than once. I'm getting a little scared to cross the street. Let me address that first. This is not a Dan Kinney project. This is even more than solely a DCCG project. This truly is a community project, as you can see tonight. This is just a few of the people that have had the time and willingness and courage to stand up in front of all of us and say what they feel about this project. This project is strong. It's like a living organism that begins to take on a life and shape of its own. DCCG has created a building team that includes over 50 individuals, and it's going to grow after tonight, including members of the city staff and representatives of NIU. So if I am hit by a bus tomorrow, this project is alive and strong with a community at its heart. The drive of the community for this project will endure. In addition to the fundraising information I've already shared, since that's a question we're most often asked, I can only add that the money that is being available for multiple sources for local food systems and community development work, as this project is higher than ever in my lifetime. I've never seen anything like this before. And this is a unique time after post-COVID when these funds are going to be available, so it's prudent that we move quickly. It would be a tragedy if DeKalb were to lose out on this funding. Another question I get asked a lot is about collaborating with NIU. I'm amazed that I get this question, because DCCG has been collaborating with NIU ever since the beginning. We had a community garden that we located behind Anderson Hall many years ago under a different administration. As you can see from our proposal in front of you, DCCG has always been thinking about NIU students' needs, both Greek and non-affiliated. DCCG is open to collaboration, and in fact, has tried taking this initiative with NIU in the past. For successful outcomes, there needs to be a timeline, mutual willingness, and the understanding that DCCG will always advocate for the greatest good in our community and in our project's development. 20% again of the students that were interviewed in the market analysis saw that the Chef Center was a positive project for this location. And one of the students said, it will be a bridge between the students and the neighborhood residents. One of the things that stood out for me in all of our listening sessions is the sense that there is no real sense of a neighborhood there. There's people in Amber Manor that feel like they have a neighborhood in Amber Manor. There's people in University Village that have a neighborhood in University Village. But there's no sense of a concrete identity, and this project will provide that kind of gathering place for that identity to form. The other question is, how will the chef be sustained? The same way that good crops, the same way that nature is sustained, through diversity. As you can see, we have a diversity of revenue streams that is key for the sustainability. We also have a strong and committed donor base, a recurring foundation support from foundations in and outside DeKalb County. And just as any business, we will have to monitor all aspects of the operation closely and make adjustments, just as DCCG has done from the beginning. 11 years ago, I walked into a bank with $74 to start DCCG. I was nervous. I didn't know if they'd give me an account with $74. Now our budget regularly is over $1 million in just 10 years. Someone said to me once, "You don't know anything about running a business." I try not to take offense to that statement, but running a nonprofit is the same almost as running a business. Very close, a lot of similarities. Or else you run your nonprofit into the ditch. Concerning the growing fields, I've heard a lot of comments about growing fields. Please take a look at this picture. This is not a field. This is a garden, less than half an acre, to provide outdoor, what I call a garden park, a demonstration and learning spot. It has been the experience of DCCG and my personal experience, which led to the establishment of school gardens, that many Americans no longer know where their food comes from. The local growing of food is the wave of the future. The local food system, as mentioned above, is drawing much more attention than ever before. That's because of all the broken links in the food system during the COVID period. This small garden area will provide valuable learning and training opportunities. It will provide a beautiful outdoor setting for benches, picnic tables, and additional gathering space. I appreciate being here tonight and hearing the Chief's report. Recent studies have reported that appropriately designed and maintained green spaces has the potential to reduce violent crime and gun violence while making communities safer and keeping residents healthier. In closing, I thank you again for this opportunity to share this proposal with you. As you can see, this is a proposal that meets all that was asked for by the city in its RFP, and it meets all the needs expressed by residents of the entire community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, members of the community and the city staff especially, for their very valuable work that has been accomplished in the AGN over the past few years. This is momentum This project builds upon that momentum, and the new multiple resources for funding for community projects is there, and it's for a project just like this one. I ask that you select DCCG Chef Complex as the purchaser of this project for the site. We urge you to move forward to a decision as soon as possible, as the grant funding opportunities are time sensitive. Together, all of us in this room, council, staff, residents, together, we can make a positive, lasting change and show the residents who express their needs and wants for this development that we were and that we are listening to them. I would also like to extend a standing invitation to any city council member, any staff member, that I would be glad to give you an individual tour of DCCG and all its operations so you have a better understanding about our work if you have any questions. Thank you again for your time and attention, and I look forward to your questions.
Okay. Before we So we are going to have to figure out logistically how this works, because there's no way we're going to make it by 9. So we have to figure that piece out. But before I turn it over to you, City Manager, we offered NIU the opportunity to have some Q&A. I'll offer the same thing to Dan, and then we'll listen to City Manager's proposal and recommendations that he brought before us. So any comments or questions for Dan before we move on to that part? Yes, Alderman Burke.
Sold. Again, Dan, if I reflect back on our Ward 6 meetings over the last 6 years, and certainly all of the listening sessions that we took part in, you're correct in that your proposal is addressing all of those requests, needs, more specifically to the residents of Annie Glidden North. And I want to applaud everyone that has taken part in this over the years. Certainly, if there's a way that you can work out something with NIU on a collaborative space, wonderful, but I support your proposal.
Thank you.
Comments or questions? Alderwoman Morris.
I'm at the same spot as Alderman Verbeek. I want to echo his support. One thing that I know that when you and I met to discuss this project a long time ago, I'm pretty sure that I mentioned the daycare element. And that's one element that I feel like was certainly brought up in the process. And I know you said that's on your mind, right? And it's going to fit in there somehow, some way, right?
I hope so.
Okay.
We don't, it has to do with space.
Right.
And so in order for all the other components to work, we will be having Regional Office of Education has entered into a letter of intent to rent space for their offices, for their basics program to be there. We'll definitely have a toddler garden there. We'll do what we can. We also have committed to work with Opportunity DeKalb and the city to try to find another location very nearby for the child care center.
Great, and along with the Birth to 5 initiative too,
Yeah.
that'd be great. That's all, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Yes, Alderman McAdams.
I just want to say on behalf of the 5th Ward, there's been an overwhelming amount of support for your project, and I'm intrigued by the possibility of both projects, but we fully support what you're trying to do. We're very happy that you've done all the work, and thank you.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate in response to that is that we have reached out to NIU. We look forward to having conversations after this date and see what can be accomplished. But it's really important that we not get too far ahead on that.
For my clarification, I thought your proposal, and I thought you reinforced it during your presentation, is there's no opportunity for Northern to do their project in the 5 acres. You want the entire 5 acres.
Well, the RFP was written that the person or the entity
Sure.
responding was to purchase the entire area and come with a plan for the entire area. So that's what we did.
Correct.
I see that there's some possibility to the north end where we could maybe discuss a north end of the parking lot, where we could discuss some possibility, and that would be something we could explore.
And to be clear, and I know the city manager is going to cover that at some point, but our RFP also was about exploration. It was about, we could reject anything. We've spent years and millions on this particular set of parcels. So collaboration for me is incredibly important. And I'm glad to hear you're saying you are open to modifying the plan, because I didn't hear that when you were presenting, that it was, this is my proposal and that's it.
What we're open to is looking, exploring. We're willing to come to the table with an open mind to see what we can work out.
Okay.
And I want to reiterate that I have already done that with NIU ahead of this meeting twice.
Okay. Yeah, Alderman Perkins.
So probing a little further on that, the math of 5 acres is about 225,000 square feet. So what we're looking at here is 90,000 square feet that you've indicated here with garden space and parking. And NIU is talking about 10 to 12,000 square feet. That's where my head is looking at and saying, what can we do to provide something for both entities?
Sure, absolutely.
And I want to believe there's room there to do that.
I agree.
Alderman Favor.
Early in your presentation, I think you said did you say there wasn't a full-service grocery store within a mile and a half?
Within a mile.
In a mile. So is the plan then to build a full-service grocery
Yes.
store? Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you have, so there's a lot of concerns with, like, the 7-Eleven and other stores in the area have a lot of shrinkage, some of it up to 50%. How are you prepared to handle or manage that, having a full-service grocery store?
One of the ways I think that has been successful in other locations is the community-owned and operated grocery store, where the community members and the residents of the community actually have a stake in the store themselves. And that usually reduces greatly the amount of shrinkage that you have. And so, and then the other thing is it would be run as a nonprofit grocery store. So as you know, all the other grocery stores have a very thin margin for profit. So that's another way that you have an opportunity here, and especially with the state of Illinois recognizing this as a potential for addressing issues in food deserts. I think we have a really excellent opportunity to capitalize on that and put that to good use. And of course, we would use all the other traditional security measures of security cameras and so on.
So I'll do one or two more, and then I know Bill's dying to chime in
I still have
as
one more
well.
question.
But go ahead.
So, I was doing mental math, which isn't good, but, so you have $2 million. I counted 3 grants, a state, and then 2 federal, so you're maybe at $3 million. Do you have line of sight to the rest of the money? And the reason I ask is because we've had there's been other nonprofits that have come to this council and have asked for pieces of property and things, and there was no line of sight. We've had developers come with project proposals with no line of sight. And so, I know former Mayor Ray, we've worked, this project has, that whole neighborhood has been way before my time, way before your time. There's been millions of taxpayer dollars that have been put into this piece of property. And to see it not come to fruition would be just horrific. To fail in what we've been called, to provide for that neighborhood. So we need to be good stewards, and we need to make the right decision.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, and I understand your position. And as a longtime community advocate, and all the years I put in the work in this community, not just the AGN, but the entire county, I understand your position, and I definitely would not want to waste any resources, and I want to see this project come to fruition, and I want to see it have the impact. And all these people in this room and a lot of people that aren't here tonight have those same goals and same desires. All I can say is that we did a campaign funding survey by a professional firm. that told us that the resources are there for this project, not just in donations. Like I said, we haven't done a capital campaign. I've talked to some significant donors in our county that all of us probably would know. They have all expressed strong interest in investing in this project. I have talked with banks, and you have a letter from Resource Bank in your backup material that shows that they are supportive of this project and will do the gap funding to help us through, as well as other banks that did not have time to get letters from, but have support, showing their support. And as I said, although federal money is available, we have shown that we can get federal money. Many other organizations have tried but have not been as successful, and I think it's because of the nature of this project and the type of impact it could have on that community. One of the investors, potential investors, told me that he sees this as the perfect project and the perfect site to really transform this neighborhood and to move it in the right direction and to build on the momentum that I mentioned earlier. So I believe the support is out there. I believe that the foundations outside the county, I sit on the board steering committee of a foundation in Chicago. It's called the Chicago Regional Food System Fund. And one of the things that we're going to be doing over the next 2 years is dispensing $10 million to projects in the Chicago area, which includes 250 miles of Chicago, for developments such as this one. So just one example. There's many examples out there I could take time, but we're running out of time now, but I'd be glad to sit down with you and go through those, or anyone.
City Manager, let's let you chime in now. Thanks, Dan, and you can sit down for now. We'll probably call you back up.
I think we ought to all adjourn to a restaurant somewhere, maybe in the neighborhood. And, have some food and some drink, but we can't do that. I do have some news, Mayor. Actually, we can stay beyond 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Because somebody told me that the door's locked from the outside, not from the inside, so we can do that. We're going to all have to leave together.
So the fire department's happy about our egress. Okay.
Yeah, well, I sent the deputy chief, so you're responsible. Right? Okay. All right. I just want to say a few things just to set up your further conversation, because I think we're at that point where, as the owners of the property, you get to dig in, roll up your sleeves, and talk. So I'd like to say that we have all the time in the world, even though we've heard people say, let's do it and so forth, but we don't. People want to do something, but in both cases, both proposals, in order to actually proceed, they need a commitment from the council. Is it one or both? So that fundraising can be seriously pursued. So I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So what do we do? That's the common ground we have tonight. Another common ground that I hear is that I've heard from just some of the comments here tonight, and also in conversations I've had with you since the proposals were received and shared with you, that you see merit in various ways in both proposals. So, and I heard Jeff Liesendahl say earlier, and other people have said, let's take a look at both of these seriously. And we're not going to design this here in this room tonight. So in my recommendation to you, I suggested that we have conversation with both parties and we see what we can do. But I think as the owners, we need to, and there's some economics to this, that's the dreary part of it, but it's something we have to be very aware of. And it isn't just because of the money you've spent. Not counting such things as streetlights and Wi-Fi and the incentive for Windy City and Camp Power Support, Twombly Road, sidewalks, which amount to about close to $1.9 million in the last 3 years. You did spend, and some members before you, a little over $2.5 million just to acquire, demolish property, what was extant at the time, mostly distressed and falling down property. Tenant relocation, grading, seeding, and so forth, $2.5 million. So we have asked of each proposer to give us some idea what you think the land is worth. And I've never heard the council say, we want every dollar back. I don't think that's prudent. I don't think that gets you to where you want to be to see some redevelopment in the area. That wouldn't happen if we had just a purely private proposer or what we have before us tonight. So there is some money. Both parties have proposed $200,000, different land areas. Let me walk you through one more kind of metric here. Some people have said, it seems intuitively, without having the same chance I've had to read and to consider the land space that each is looking to use, there are 4.87 acres, let's call it 5 just to round it up, make it easier. About 40 on a commercial lot, and there are variations to this. If this was a planned development, we could massage some setbacks and some things like that. But if you add setbacks, which is the biggest deduct from buildable space, and retention area, and parking, and common driveways, and some landscaping, hopefully, and the like, which, by the way, with the DCCG proposal can be used, some of that 40% roughly of the land area in any lot can be reused for other things, not built space necessarily, but for plots and things like that. So with NIU's proposal, the Center for Greek Life, we have about 3/4 of an acre that's lost to building space. And there are 2 acres, roughly 87,000 square feet. The deduct, as I said, about 3/4 of an acre. That leaves about an acre and a quarter. 12,000 square feet is a quarter acre. So you got about an acre there. And I'm not saying let's grab an acre, but I'm saying, all right, there's some land there. Now let's move south. Again, this proposal was for 4.87 acres. If we took 40% off of that same quotient here, not quotient, the same multiplier, we're left with about 2 acres of buildable space, heated space, heating and cooled space. We're looking at about 60,000 built, and that includes 30,000 for greenhouses, so about 30,000 of more brick and mortar type space. So there's about 2/3 of an acre available. So we've got more than half of this space that's not in-built. Now, we could talk all night about yes, but, and we need this and so forth. I understand that. All I'm saying is we have some flexibility to find a design, a memorable and worthy design that the neighborhood will always be proud of. And there are elements in both that I think we need to investigate some more. And I'd like to propose what I did in my background, which is that we accept that we have 2 valid proposals before us, and we have some time to look at this from a design standpoint. You're the owners. If you were looking only to the private market on this, you probably would have already hired an engineering and architectural firm to do some things that I would have put normally into a invitation to bid. We did an RFP because we knew there was community interest already. So we took a shortcut to the end. And there's some things that were lost in that process, so I think we need to talk some more.
Council.
On a short time frame, I said we need to start fast and finish fast.
Council, comments, questions? Yes, Alderman Burbick.
That can we've been kicking down the road is nearly disintegrated right now. Again,
I'm sorry, which can?
The can we've been kicking down the road for
Waiting
these
to be
discussions
out.
for however many years it's been. And I think that in response to those that spoke with us, that we met with over all of these years, it's clear. The chef proposal has met the specifications set forth by those that we serve. So, again, I vote for the chef proposal, but I would love to see collaboration, Chef Center leading the way as to how NIU can fit into that project. But to your comment, City Manager, I'm also concerned about some space to grow. So some breathing room for this kind of project, I think, would be important over time. But again, if there is some synergy between the Chef Center and NIU, where resources could be shared, building space could be shared, security could be shared, network connections could be shared, all of those kinds of things, wonderful.
So I want to be clear, you're saying you're supporting the Chef Center, but what you're supporting is you'd like to see collaboration with Northern Illinois University. I heard you say you want some space maybe left over. So are you supporting this entire proposal that the community gardens gave forth, and that's what you want us to see us pass going forward? Or would you like to see modifications to it? That's my question.
I support the proposal as is. Again, it was that good faith effort to meet the specifications that we set forth. The Chef Center matched all those specifications. If they're able to work something out with NIU for that said space, great. Again, some type of partnership, whether it's shared building resources. Love to see NIU students continue their involvement in that community, in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Lots of potential.
So for me, real quick, just to chime in, to the city manager's point, we've spent millions of dollars in that neighborhood. I've said all along, I'm in no hurry to do anything. That's just me. And one of the reasons I'm in no hurry is it's a constantly evolving neighborhood. The conversation we're having right now wouldn't have been the same conversation we had 2 years ago. It may not be the same conversation we have 2 years from now. I've saw some smirking and some comments, and I've heard about privilege, I've heard about a lot of things, but city manager just touched on it. We have invested millions in that neighborhood. I mean, I think every member of this council understands that there is a large section of marginalized residents in the city of DeKalb in that neighborhood, which is why we've invested in Wi-Fi, why we've invested in paths to be able to have kids safely go from Annie Glidden North to DeKalb High School, why we've invested in roads there, why we've invested in Welsh Park there, why we've invested in security, why we initially got us to the point of making this L available. Removing Hunter Hillcrest was a real issue that was before us. It was a problem for every resident in that area. And we, I think, showed great leadership trying to make sure that we want to provide the best environment and the safest environment for all the residents in that neighborhood. For me, Dan, I know you talk about getting hit by a bus. I'm one of those. What happens when Dan gets hit by a bus? For the record, I love you, man. What you've done with the community gardens, my God, it's incredible. Like no one would ever, I think, question what Dan Kennedy's contribution has been to the community, and I know what your future contribution to the community is going to do, 100%. For me, though, I can't see going from the community gardens to a complex this size, and it's our responsibility to find out what's viable, what's really going to work. It's a major jump. I mean, when you're talking about operating a market and the food pantry and then the library, and I know you're going to seek other partners and all that, but operationally, just the capital cost of maintaining all this going forward, the operational costs of staff and just all those things, I question, is it too much too soon? For me, I mean, I would love to see a component of Northern's Greek Life Center there because, and I brought up the Annie Glidden North proposal and the core transformational projects they talk about in here. Develop streetscape and gateway improvements for Greek Row area. They talk about safety. They talk about Welsh Park. They talk about healthcare. They talk about a lot of different things. It's not just the proposal from the community garden. So I'm seeing this as one thing when I'd really like to see it be multiple things, and part of that would be working with Northern Illinois University, which you said you're going to do, Dan, which is phenomenal, where we could see the Greek Life Center. I heard Greeks are privileged. I think there's people in the audience that would come up and talk about what Greek life really is like, and how there's many marginalized students that Greek life is their connection to their own community. It's not about a house, it's not about rushing, it's not about all those things we watch Animal House on. It's bigger than that. And it's a lot bigger than that. And I would encourage you to reach out to Northern Illinois University to understand what Greek life really means. And I think Northern's proposal is going to help accomplish that. For me, too, I see Annie-Glidden North it's a mix of people. To just say this component of that demographic doesn't need to have a component in this proposal. I want to focus on students, I want to focus on low income, I want to focus on a middle class. I want to make sure that this proposal is what is right for the city of DeKalb. I would love to see a component of community gardens there, 100%. Would adore to see that. I just can't see after everything that we've done and all the money we've spent, that we just say, here's 5 acres, go for it. I don't think that is responsible from us on this end. Working with Northern Illinois University, working with the community gardens to figure out how we can accomplish some of your primary goals while looking at the Annie-Glidden North Revitalization Plan and being focused on that, and also being cognizant of the overall demographics in that neighborhood. I think that's where us here at council, that's the responsibility that we have. For me, I understand, Dan, you're saying there's a timeline on getting a bunch of grant applications in. Then let's work quickly to figure out how we can have a component of this work for the main goals that you're trying to accomplish, rather than having all 5 acres be a part of that going forward. So I just want to share from my standpoint, I would be a no to awarding it to the community gardens for the whole 5 acres. I really want to see more collaboration. I want to see him work with city staff. I want to see him work with, let's make this more of a planned development. Let's accomplish some really cool things right now that's going to serve people and make an impact in our community. But let's leave it open for what we also don't know. We're talking about 5 acres in the middle of a community. There is so much opportunity for different sectors to come and be able to accomplish great things in that community. And I want to give more of those organizations an opportunity to be able to do that. So that's where I'm coming from up here. And I just wanted to share that. Alderwoman Larson.
Before we ever put out the RFP, I can remember sitting here saying, what would just kill me is if a council 10 years from now is sitting in the same place having problems in AGN, that we didn't make the right decisions and we ended up right back where we started. Dan knows, he's reached out to me many times. I gladly write letters of support because, like the mayor said, this man puts his mind to it, it's going to happen. And that's what I tell. It's not just about the idea, it's about the man behind the idea. And I get that. I also get, we have to sit up here and look at all 40,000 people. There's a big crowd here, but you ain't 40,000. And that's what this group has to, last time we talked about VAC and not getting food out there. My God, my heart. I went home and started calling to try to get donations. It's horrible to have to make some of these decisions. But I agree, we don't have to make a decision tonight. We're not axing chef is gone. It's not going to happen. Or it's Greek. I think we need to talk together. I think there is a viable solution. 50-some years ago, I lived at Kimberly. I lived at Greenbrier and Russell. I was an NIU student back then. So Greeks and NIU students have been there for a long time as well. And so just like we try to look at, we don't look at color. We don't look at anything. We just look at people. So whether they're Greek people or they're underserved people, everybody needs to eat. We need to get a food store there for whoever you are, for people in Fox Hollow, for people in Eve's Garden. We have to get, Eden's Garden, sorry, food there. And that's why we've made the decision. We've put our money where our mouth is. We've got that land. We're cleaning up. Chief Bird's saying that it's feeling different. Our SRO officers, the high school's feeling different. So maybe in a year, which I know everybody wants something done yesterday, we might even have more choice than the two choices that are here now, that could even offer more services. So I guess my vote has to be, the way either proposal sits, I can't vote for either of them. It's no to both of them. Something has to be a collaboration or see what else is out there, because I don't think anyone, as it was presented to me, is something I could get behind. So that's where I
Alderman Morris.
stand.
Thank you, Alderman Morrison.
I just want to be clear that in the 10 items recommended in the original Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan, not one of them references Greek life. There is a part that references public-private partnerships, and I can see that we're doing that. As far as further collaboration goes, I know that you guys have put in the time and the endless collaboration among ceaseless groups with focus group after focus group. The Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan in the first place was the first focus group session, right? Then we went on to, focus groups for, well, what's this area going to be on top of that? We have done our due diligence. You have done your due diligence. I see what you've done, and I think it's perfect. I don't think. In this Annie Glidden North Revitalization Plan, they made it very clear that we were to find core transformational projects. And I think that part of the value of using the entire L for one project is getting a project that's big enough to have a huge impact. And I can hear that and see that in what I'm hearing from the community tonight. So I am 100% in support of this project, the Chef project, as is. I appreciate that you've involved the Greek life. If Greek life needs to be more involved, add another height on it, add another layer, make it a 3-story building instead of a 2-story building, and have the university pay for that. If that's not going to work, we demolished another building right around the corner. That's a decent spot for it to be also, where it could be right around the corner. So this project is core transformational project, and it's perfect.
For the record, one of the 10 is develop streetscape and gateway improvements for the Greek Row area in order to help improve its identity and perception.
Greek Row area, and this is.
I know, this is the Greek Row area, but it does call out that that's one of the parts of the Annie Glidden North Plan. Just wanted to call that out. Council, questions, comments? Yes, Alderman Smith.
Try and be brief. Dan, we've talked, and obviously we know each other. We're both in the not-for-profit world. Very aggressive timeline, I'm really worried about it. I started doing the math with just our city meetings. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, we're looking at rezoning. We're probably looking at something that has to go to planning and any revisions, then on to Dawn's group for blueprints. I mean, and you're looking at a fall construction. I mean, I just hate to see us rush things at that point of it to get it through to make it work. I'm not unopposed to this. I'm just worried that if we approve it without something solid, like what are we going to land use with that? I don't think we can change our own rules, correct?
No. The council, I should remind you, that, and it was in the background, and so the council can accept or reject both proposals. They can propose
Right.
back to move things around. You can shift pieces from here to there until or unless the original proposers decide, no, that doesn't look like my project anymore. I don't want to do that. But it's up to you to define what you want to see there, ultimately, in your representative way of your constituents.
Where I'm going though, Bill, is our processes already written in code are going to make this.
It's about a 60-day turnaround to do a rezoning and the proper public hearings and so forth, but that's when you have something to show.
Correct.
We have two conceptual, one more elaborate concepts, but still very conceptual, nothing ready for building review or any of that.
So I'm torn between these two. Dan, your document's sitting on my bulletin board at my office, by the way. And it's, you know, I really like, as you and I have talked, I like the aggressiveness, if you will, of this project. It just seems to fit. I'm also I'm going to be prejudiced on the Greek side as well, because I think I worked in that neighborhood for, well, it's 30-plus years. I see Commander or Deputy Chief Leverton laughing at me back there, but it was very, that part of town was very vital. I mean, even though we were busy in law enforcement, it was vital to this community. I have kids that have gone to major universities, and the Greeks are extremely involved in not-for-profits. They work, build houses. My daughter went to SEC school. They built houses in a week, I mean, literally. So you have a great volunteer group there that I know would be more than willing to help you out. I don't, maybe you have an abundance of volunteers, I don't, as we know. Dan and I can laugh about certain things, but I just think a cooperative effort is needed, and I think it would benefit everybody. I really want to see both projects go. So tonight, I'd have to be neutral on both until give me something to go with. So,
City Manager? Thank
Well,
sorry.
I'm sorry, did I?
No, you're good.
Maybe it wasn't clear, so I'm just going to say it a little differently. My background made two pretty specific recommendations in both cases. And I don't want it to be lost. I'm talking about cooperation, collaboration, and I heard that from the audience tonight. But I think this is speaking for our staff who have been on the front lines doing all of your acquisition and your demo and all the rest of that. Believe me, no topic has garnered more attention in our community or in this room than the redevelopment of the AGN neighborhood. And that's not even touching on social services that are working there every day that you partially fund. So, but let us not lose track of the fact that we've been trying, at least for a couple of years and longer, but more emphatically in this room in the last couple of years, to stop from being a town with a college in it to a university city. And I think the fact that this unique proposal from NIU was made is not to be lost as we try to pick at how much for this space and how much for that space. The power of the university is behind this. It's a significant initiative. We haven't seen the university buying property in this neighborhood ever that I'm aware of. Property was bought to create a West Campus for other purposes and in another shape and another schematic. And this is something very different. It's Northern's, and I hope I'm not speaking incorrectly here, one of NIU's recent initiatives to embrace what the neighborhood has been trying to do for itself and what the city's been trying to do for the neighborhood. And we have to remind ourselves, we don't have all the answers. We heard tonight from some people who are residents in the neighborhood, and they spoke very strongly for one of the proposals. They didn't speak against this proposal. So I think, at the very least, we need to embrace the NIU proposal. It's a matter of what are the metes and bounds of the space that they need. You know, it's not going to be built unless the funds are raised, and once the funds are raised, they don't have to be paid back. There's not going to be a bank there loaning the money. And the university's in a position, the strength of the university's budget, and I'm not going to speak for the budget, but I think it's obvious that the building will be maintained and it will be used. So that's a significant addition to the conversation of the last couple of years. And that's just in the last couple of months that this has materialized. I think we need to embrace it and welcome it. There's plenty of room on this site for both.
So if let's say we just rejected both, and the recommendation would be for city staff, and we could always have an alderperson, myself, be part of those conversations, work with the two entities to see if there's some sort of arrangement that can be made where both can take advantage of this unique position that we're in the L. And we can also decide on, is it the whole thing we want those two to have, or a portion? But I think my recommendation would be that's what I would ask us to have city staff go back and do, to work with.
I think we need representatives
community
from
gardens.
the proposers and keep it small and tight, and let's roll up our sleeves and be very candid.
Yeah. So I know Alderman Morris, you're for community gardens exclusively. I'm a little mixed there, but I understand you're open, would like to see collaboration. Is my recommendation to have this, we reject both proposals, we put it back in the city manager's hand to coordinate with DCCG, coordinate with Northern Illinois University. We can do like we did with video gambling, someone on council and myself are part of those conversations, and we figure out, is there some way the two can come up with a proposal that would work for both entities, but also work for us? That's what you're looking for as a recommendation, right? Yeah. So that's my recommendation, Alderman Burke.
So what kind of a timeline would you expect for this collaboration? The last thing I would like to see is paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's...
Well, I've never been accused of that,
Yeah.
interestingly.
Yeah.
People say I don't analyze enough, so, but I can tell you, there's been plenty of analysis.
Plenty.
But what we don't have plenty of are particulars. You know, so let's get down and dirty here, and let's figure it out. You could tell me 60 days, I balanced your budget in 2019 and 30, but we could maybe do 90 if you want, but I think we have to be realistic, and if we can't come to an agreement in principle in 60 days, I don't know that we will, but there's more to it than just agreeing in principle to, you know, relative shares and things like that. There's a lot of design work. Architects and engineers are ultimately going to be needed to and we have already, both parties have engaged that kind of assistance. I think we don't want to add a third set. We work with people who've already been engaged, and we figure this out.
Head nod or no? Head nod or no? Head nod, head nod, head nod. Okay, we got a majority of head nods. What? Do you have what you need?
I think we should ask the party. I'm looking
Okay.
at one of them. I can't see their stand. Do you think we can have an agreement in principle or not in 60 days? Not design? You open to discussion? Okay. All right.
Thanks, Dan.
And I'll, like I usually do, I'll reach out to each of you individually to get some feedback on what you would like to see us weigh in on in this conversation of what that future of the L would look like. Okay.
We'll pick it up tomorrow morning.
All right. Awesome. All right. I got to thank everyone for coming out. It's fantastic. We've heard from so many of you before this meeting. It's great to hear from more of you during this meeting. This is the beauty about local politics, is we all get to look each other in the eye face to face and have these conversations. So I applaud you all for using your civic duty to be able to come out and express your thoughts on this. We'll continue this conversation. It took us years to get to this point. We don't need to make a decision tomorrow, so we want to make sure that we make the right decision, and your voice tonight was helpful in that decision-making process, so thank you, everybody. You can leave, too. We've got more on the agenda, but believe me, if I could go home, I'd go home right now, so I don't blame you for getting up and heading home. Let's just take 5
and then go.
Go to the bathroom if you need to go to the bathroom, and yeah. Thanks, Glenn.
Liking that suit. I really do. I really do. Just for me, thanks, man. You didn't wear it tonight. I was there.
Oh, gosh. Probably like the next couple of years. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Yeah, I love it. All right, are we close? Who are we missing? Bathroom, Smith's there, Perkins, where's Perkins? Did he? What's that? I know, I see. Well, I don't know who
Are you ready to leave right now? Okay, let me see if I can send you my text. And let you do
Okay. So we're gonna have to, I'm gonna be leaning on you, Alderman Larson. Yes, sir. Because Alderman Lamar is now directly involved in the board. So I'm gonna rotate some people through some of these conversations. Because again, I don't think it's, I just think it's fine. Like that's my opinion. Just not fine. Oh, are you really? Wow. All right, we got to start our meeting. Alderman Verbeek, Perkins, Smith, City Manager. Let's get going. All right, everybody, we're going to continue our meeting.
All right, let's get it together.
All right, everybody.
I'm ready to go home.
You don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.
Yeah.
Well, you can stay here. It's a public meeting. So,
Okay.
yeah, just, yeah. Mom. All right. Are we all here? Yes. We are all here.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so we're going to move on in the agenda to our third consideration. Consideration of a recommendation from the Citizens Community Enhancement Commission for a City Hall mural. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
Second.
Wait, who moved? Oh, moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Verbeek. City Manager.
So I think we should begin with a round of applause for Danielle Casali.
I know.
Sitting here all night. And we'll get to Mr. Pappas too in a minute. He's been here all night too. Well, real quickly, we thought you'd want to see what the Citizens Community Enhancement Committee.
Community Enhancement.
Commission, thank you. And the artist and staff have been talking about, and this is also the result of engagement of the public, conversation about what might look good on the back of the City Hall. Danielle's been very collaborative and has been most gracious in allowing us to kind of poke here, and how about this? And what you see in your background, I think that is pretty much the revised show of the, yeah. So Danielle's here tonight to answer any questions, but I wanted your approval to proceed. We've got the contract. We just want you to take a look, and that's the consideration.
Awesome. Real quick, I don't know if any of us were involved, but I went to some of the listening sessions about what this mural needs to look like. The Citizens Community Enhancement Commission put in a ton of work on this, back and forth. The thing I'll just say that I love about this is, and I've said it before, it's just that we're going to co-create this mural. So the community's going to come out, they're going to put hands on. Probably every piece that ultimately gets made is going to be touched by someone in the community to help shape this mural. So I'm just excited about it and can't wait to move forward. So yeah, this is what's before us. There'll be some ebb and flowing probably of the overall design element, but a majority of it is going to be this here. Yeah. So any questions or comments?
I'm going to be quick,
Yes.
I promise. What's this thing?
That's the downspout that's located on the building.
Oh, okay.
So we have to work around it. Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I was really worried about this. Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Any other comments or questions? Yes,
I
Alderman
won't be
Smith.
painting, trust me. It's all yours. Good job.
Any others? Hearing none. Danielle, thanks for staying out for us to have that 60-second conversation. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you.
You know something about our community.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to do something with this downspout, though.
Can't do it.
No?
Let's
No.
yeah. We'll
Let's move on.
bend his ear afterward, and he'll still tell you probably can't do it. I said the same thing. Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. We have Brad Hoy from the Citizens Community Enhancement Commission. He chairs it.
Yeah, and I want to thank Danielle as well for her patience, not only tonight, but throughout this whole process. I think you've seen by the design that she listened to and integrated the ideas and the concepts that were generated from the public. I want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and the staff, and of course the council, for allowing these type of enhancement projects to move forward. In seeing the excitement and transitional projects, transformational projects that have occurred recently in this community and that are going to occur and in the years to come, including the project that we've been talking about all tonight, which has within its component some public art. So Daniel, you may be back and doing more art in the Annie Glidden North project. But one thing I really want to call is that this is a public participation project. I think, what was the term that you used? Mayor?
Co-create the mural.
Co-creating. So I want it to go on record that we want the public to participate as volunteers. Danielle has already been recruiting members of the audience here tonight to participate as volunteers. It's a multimedia project, so we not only have paint, but we have ceramic and mirror and glass, and it's going to be very, very exciting. So kids of all ages will be able to participate and to make this project come to reality. So I appreciate the support of the council, appreciate the support of the city leadership and staff, and we're very, very excited for the support of the commission. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad, and thanks for all your hard work. And Scott, Zach, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you for all your hard work on this, too. All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, consideration of the amendment to Chapter 7 Water Service, Section 7.18 Water Rates, and Section 7.18-6 Water Service Fee. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderwoman Morris, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I was gonna
Thank
say
you, man.
manager.
What's up, dude?
Yes.
Give it to me straight, okay?
The code, as I say in my background, so the municipal code requires that our water rate and our water service fee be subject to an adjustment annually tied to the most recent consumer price index changes. And a year ago, 2 years ago really, we thought that kind of automatic thing without public discussion, even before the spike in inflation, was not appropriate. So we're bringing this to you. It's that time of the year when we look at that. If we were to be a slave to the current rate of inflation, and this is the core rate, and that's was roughly, well, when I wrote this, it was 5.4. It might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but about that. We feel that would be excessive. Last year's increase was 3.5%. In your code, we can go up to 3.5%. And what we're recommending here, there's a lot of background. You can see how it didn't change our position vis-a-vis other communities if we went up 3.5%. That's what we're recommending, because not just, boy, we'd like to have a little more money for this, a little more money for that, but look at the rates of inflation. You've seen the contracts here in the last 6 months for various additives to our water to keep it clean and purify it. But just the chemical costs alone and the salt are extraordinary in terms of increases. And electrical costs are right up there with the highest spikes that we've seen. So we feel this is only fair. We'd be losing ground otherwise. In other words, we'd still be putting a lot of money into infrastructure repair, but we're losing ground. So we can't afford to do that right now. It's just, I just have to say, this is the cost of our enterprise fund, which is supposed to be able to pay for these types of things.
Questions or comments, council? Boy, some of you old timers have heard this for years. I'm recalling this exact same conversation. It seems like it was yesterday, but.
But if you're looking to have that discussion in a coffee shop, we're talking about $1.30 more a month.
Yeah.
So about what you could drop in dimes going out of the coffee shop by accident. So.
Yeah. And we have phenomenal water.
We do.
Especially compared to a lot of other communities. I love it. No other questions or comments? Oh, all in favor?
No, I agree with the 3.5%. I think we're living in an artificial inflation period that's going to go back to 2.5%. And I did have kind of I'll just ask the question. I think it's only happened, I think there's only been a year or two when the inflation actually went negative for the year.
Yeah, it was
so
big.
would we actually apply a negative, if it went negative 0.1,
Then
we would do a
that'd be good.
negative 0.1.
Yeah.
Love it, thank
I
you.
think that was 2011,
Yeah.
2010, something like that.
As you have one more meeting left, that's what you're bringing up before you.
That's awesome. Hey, it's general information. I mean,
It
this
is.
That's important.
It is.
There's an opportunity.
I think that's appropriate.
I love it. We'll remember that when it happens for the first time ever. I'll be like, God, that favor.
So if you agree with the 3.5, then there's no further action needed. You don't have to come back with an ordinance.
Right. Anything else, council? Yes, okay.
Nope, moving on.
All right, hearing none. Moving on to agenda item J, resolutions. we moved L1 up in the agenda, so we'll move to ordinances, first reading, ordinance 2023-017, approving the rezoning of the site at 2239 Sycamore Road from the SFR1 Single Family Residential District to the PDC Planned Development Commercial District, Pappas Glasgow Development Incorporated. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor
So
for
moved.
discussion?
Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
I think there is a rule hidden in the city code that if you have to wait 3.5 hours to get to your agenda item, it's automatic.
Second reading's waived. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
And for
All
those of
right.
you listening,
Well,
we're just
It probably
kidding.
isn't, though. So, just to be safe, the petition before you tonight is from Pappas Glasgow Development officially, and you've read the background. You know that the intent here is to establish a tent rental business, showroom, offices, warehouse in the existing building that's at 2239 Sycamore Road, which is was more recently, until recently, was owned by NIU. It's behind the Elwood Steak and Fish House, and the building was initially built as a warehouse for Skorberg Furniture. So there used to be, once upon a time, big semis going in and out, and on a regular basis, and panel trucks with furniture. This is not that kind of a business. Folding tents and shipping tents, not quite as impactful as that. But there is the opportunity here for other types of things, so that's why we wanted your close scrutiny. What has already been done is extraordinary. Some hundreds of thousands of dollars have already been spent on the inside to clean up what was an old kind of tired building. It's been gutted and cleaned out. You can see by these pictures what it's shaping up to be. And in the proposal, there would be an area that would be used for offices and also for the showroom. And but most of it would be the warehouse space. This comes to you with a couple of requests for variances that the Planning and Zoning Commission considered and approved. But let me just run down what they are real quickly. We're doing a PUD here and a planned development, I should say. And you're supposed to have a minimum of 2 acres. This is 1.96, rounded to 2. It's real close. Planning and Zoning Commission said no problem in their view. Also, there is the warehouse space is proposed to be about 20,000 square feet, which is about 66% of the total floor area. Makes sense because it's always been a warehouse, but for whatever reason, that's in the UDO. And the proposal would have to be a little bit smaller to hit the 50% threshold, which is of the gross floor area, which is already in the UDO. So the Planning and Zoning Commission heard this and thought, well, these are big objects. They should be stored appropriately in dry stacks and so forth. So it made sense that variance would be granted. And then also, there's an extraordinary buffer in the back, 330 feet to the nearest home. But interestingly, the bike path, which is only 17 feet away, is zoned residential. Little conundrum there. So there's supposed to be a big distance between a residential zoned area. But as I just mentioned, in this case, there's a considerable setback, and by far 10 times the amount that would normally be required, and also for vegetation, which of course somebody can mow down or knock down someday, but it currently is the hardy buffer. So the Planning and Zoning Commission thought that was a reasonable variance request. So it comes to you with unanimous recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we support the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
Council, questions, comments? Love it, breathing life into a building. All right. Roll call, please.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance 2023-017 passes on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Questions or comments on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Perkins?
Yep.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8
Thank
aye.
you.
All right, second reading's been waived. Mr. Pappas, thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks again for the continued investment, sir. Yep. All right, moving on to resolutions. Number one, Resolution 2023-042, authorizing the approval of a bid of a professional services advisor agreement with Bourne Transit Consulting LLC for on-call transit consultant services. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
This is a retainer agreement, may not be spent at all. I don't think it was spent actually last year, but we keep this company, we've been keeping this company on a retainer since we needed them in the process of pulling together the city transit system that we currently have. It's an insurance policy. It makes a lot of sense that they would be willing to help us, particularly if we're looking for grant support at state and federal levels. They're steeped in their own experience, and it could be valuable to us. So this, we bring agreements to you even though it's under 20,000. I thought you should vote it. So
Appreciate it. Questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson? Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2023-042 was passed. First, Chief, I didn't realize Sean Woyer was here. I'm just seeing the note now to accept the proclamation. I'm sorry. Please pass on yeah, just with everything going on.
I understand.
All right. Resolution number two, Resolution 2023-043, authorizing the award of a bid with D. Ryan Tree and Landscaping LLC for tree removal, trimming, and emergency services from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
Darren Ryan is in the audience tonight too. How long have you been here?
We've been here longer.
Considered like a nighttime tree trimming, yeah. We do a lot of forestry, and our city crew is very good at it, and we're very safe, and people are trained and certified. But we can't do everything, and for a couple reasons, we've always looked for some private contracting to help us out. One would be just in terms of the equipment that might be needed for some really big tree, big jobs. Like that one over on Rolfe last summer, you may remember. Frankly, when we have major storms, we need the help. And just like we contract sometimes with private firms to help us with plowing in the extreme case, we do that also with forestry where we have a lot of limbs down. We just can't keep up. We're trying to get roads open and wires in a safer condition. So we went out to bid. Andy Rye went out to bid. We had one bidder, and that was D. Ryan. That's, as you well know, is a local company. They've been performing tree trimming services for the city for a number of years. We've been pleased with their services and their timely responses, and we recommend your approval.
Council. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Roll call.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2023-043 passes. Darren, thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. You're more than welcome to leave. And thanks for your continued service in the community. Appreciate all of it, man. You too. Resolution 2023-044, authorizing the purchase of live scan equipment for the DeKalb Police Department in an amount of $25,000 as it pertains to electronic fingerprinting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
One ingredient, as you might imagine, in trying to work on public safety through our police department is what happens when we have to arrest people and we want to properly book them. We have an electronic fingerprinting system that's about kaput. And it's out of warranty in order to be, like I say, conversant with, but connected to all the various levels of state and federal, fingerprinting and record keeping. We've got to do something different. There are some live scan solutions out there. The police department has dutifully checked on these. There's a company called LifeScan Equipment. Imagine. And they do a good job. They are low with their proposal of $21,851. There's enough money in the police department budget under patrol equipment for this. We recommend your approval.
Council? Questions, comments? Yes.
This
Alderman
is the
Smith.
one I put in place years ago, was it, Chief? You're replacing?
Yeah, it's out of warranty, so.
Okay, good.
Spent a lot of money fixing
Yeah,
a couple of these.
Been gone 7 years.
Anything else?
Reminiscing.
All right. Roll call, please.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2023-044 passes. Number 4, Resolution 2023-045, authorizing the award of a contract to Kern Contracting, Incorporated, in the amount of $2,444,006.27 for resurfacing and concrete repairs on Greenwood Acres Drive, certain Knowles subdivision side streets, and various other locations, with staff authority to approve change orders up to a combined project total not to exceed $2,560,000. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
Zach Gill, our city engineer, has several dozen slides he'd like to show you of the condition of the areas. I told him I don't think that's a good idea, but, so anyway, this is a very important program, I don't have to tell you, and we can never do all that we want to do, but Zach has very dutifully tried to stretch the dollar and then some, and we're doing that a little bit in this, but we got a very good base bid. We went out to bid. Kern was the only bidder, which has happened more often than not in the last couple of years. And we'll work on that, but it was a very aggressive low bid in terms of the engineering estimate. And so we looked very seriously at our alternates that were also bid, and we couldn't do all three of them. It would be nice to do it, but we had two in particular. One is to fulfill our obligations, that would be alternate 1 with respect to a couple of projects that we helped underwrite last fall, Nearing Electric and American Marketing. Alternate 3 addresses the repair and resurfacing of Bethany Road as it stretches west from North First Street towards Sangamon Road. And when you add all these together and you put in a 5% contingency, which is reasonable considering we typically run into, particularly in the more worn areas, some quantity overruns or some unforeseen repairs that are needed, a little patching of the base, whatever it is. So the total comes to $2,560,000. That covers alternates 1 and 3 and the base bid, which is primarily the Knowles, as we talked about last year. And so we feel this is a heck of a program. This will be the biggest program we've had since I've been here. So, and obviously, a lot more we could be doing, and we're going to be, this year we had hoped to get a little more cannabis money, but we're going to push. Yeah, I know. But we'll have enough to do this. We'll come back to you when we do some FY23 budget amendments. We have more than enough to handle the start of this process.
Council? Yes, Alderman Verbic.
Zach, great work on the estimating. Thank you.
Any others? Council? All right, hearing none. Awesome. Roll call.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2023-045 passes. We all know now, Zach, if you want something, add it to the end of a very long agenda. Just get past. All right, moving on to ordinances, second reading, we have none, which is now M, reports and communications. Council, Alderman Favor, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'll say congratulations to the alderman in the front row for winning re-election. And I want to say congratulations to Ward 7 Alderman-elect John Walker. And I've enjoyed serving with you all. You have lots of work to do still.
We have you for another meeting, though.
I know.
All right.
I'll have more to say then.
Okay. All right, Alderman McAdams.
Thank you, DeKalb. Thank you for enduring one of the ugliest smear campaigns in the city's history. Thank you for seeing through the sleazy tactics and the lies. Thank you to those who endured abuse for putting up my signs. Thank you to the Fifth Ward resident who replaced my tire when it got slashed. Thank you to Barb City Automotive for their help in getting my car back in shape. And thank you to my neighbor who now allows me to park on his property so his cameras can keep an eye on my vehicle. I speak for the entire council when I say we're grateful for your support for our campaign to bring property tax rate cuts to all the taxing bodies. I'm grateful for your early support of the Metro proposal. I appreciate you for saying yes to growth and economic development and revitalizing downtown. Thank you for believing in us up here and voting for me before you knew if we'd still be on the ballot. You didn't let the grievance peddlers win. Since I got the most votes of any council candidate this election, it just strengthens my resolve to follow the path we started together to make a 21st century DeKalb that welcomes everyone. We can foster a sense of belonging together and embrace diversity and improve lives here. On a personal note, I'm overwhelmed by the kindness and generosity that I've received from Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and Independents. Our community is stronger when we all stand together, and I've been pleasantly surprised by the depth of support. I promise to always listen and make good decisions with all of you for the benefit of our hometown.
Alderman Smith.
No report.
Alderwoman Morris.
No report.
Alderwoman Larson.
Two quick things. I was out walking, clean out your storm drains, because they've actually like cemented in with leaves and dirt. And then just keep an eye out, because everybody's out with their pets and their bikes and going crazy, and they're not watching for traffic. That's it.
Alderman Perkins.
Real quick update on the calming device on Fairview. There's some additional work that's going to be done on that. We're going to be scooping out the dirt in the middle of the concrete area, adding pavers to it, and enhancing the shoulder. I have solicited Zach to give a more technical overview of that.
Briefly, the first takeaway of that is it is not now complete, nor it wasn't intended to be complete last fall. We put that in on some traffic safety measures. We wanted to get the good bones in, which was the concrete, the curb work. Someone in their haste, instead of putting the pavers in, threw down, they thought they were going to restore it to a grass median. So not the end of the world. It's structurally fine. We're just going to scoop out the dirt and we'll put the pavers in as part of this year's program and move along. And also, yes, the patching there, we did the very minimal invasiveness we could. So some of that asphalt, obviously, as it aged, didn't hold up over the winter. So we'll put a new asphalt patch in as soon as the plants open up in May, and we'll be good to go. And then as we move through the neighborhood, it will all get buttoned back up together in the end. So
awesome. Thank you much, Zach.
Zach, can you explain real quick for the listening public why you wouldn't just want to do a stop sign alone right there?
that particular area, yes. So again, what we have there is a rural cross-section where you see that it's ditch and not curbs. We know we have a lot of people driving that, a lot of people driving irresponsibly in that area. If you were to take something like that and just throw up stop signs, which may not even be anticipated, now we're talking disaster territory. We're talking about a family, about children walking across a 36-foot stretch of asphalt, assuming they're in the safety of a stop condition. And someone's going to blow that, and it's going to be gnarly. That's why I was adamant that we put the islands in if we put the stop signs up, so that we have those delineated crossings with the pedestrian refuge. So it was in the interest of public safety.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Zach, for bringing your expertise to keep the community safe.
Sure.
Indeed.
Alderman Burbick.
Thanks to everybody that reached out about the RFP proposals and for all of those that attended this evening.
I've got no report. City manager.
Thanks to the council and Mayor in particular for leading us through a very interesting, layered, and challenging meeting. And I think we'll get some legs. We'll get going. And I'll report back to you as soon as I get something.
Sounds good. I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman Favor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay, same sign. We are adjourned.
We have to.